Hi, folks. A very tired Larry Rolla here. Thank God my friends are on here. Let me bring them right on before I fall asleep. We got Freddie, whose computer blew up, and he's on his.
Yeah. Yeah. Hi, everyone.
And then we got Gregory Peck, and then we got the great Trade Martin.
Hey, what's happening, Larry?
Hi, guys.
Greg,
Hi,
Freddie.
guys.
My light
You're
went
gonna have
off.
to
Good
do me a
evening.
big favor tonight.
Sure.
Keep it amongst yourselves because I might fall asleep. So go ahead.
Oh, we got to do this on the fly. I just see something. Eric just posted something, and that is of interest. Sovereignty is scratched of the Breeders' Cup Classic, and they were really hoping. They're really promoting. It was a $7 million ace. He came up with a temperature. They got it down a little bit, but then it kind of wouldn't subside. So he's out because they figured that he would be in against journalist who's going to stud, but it didn't work out. So that was the injury. Sundance, how are you? And we had an injury in our Breeders' Crown that Blueprint got over a stall door and fractured some ribs, but they didn't know until after the race was over. So he wasn't quite as good. It looks like he's maybe not. He probably won't be able to race because that would be a hard thing to do with a horse with ribs, to fix that. But anyway, thanks everybody for coming on. Yeah, we're gonna have a shorter show. It should be shorter anyway. Trade.
Hey, what's up? How you doing, Greg?
I
Listen,
love
Larry. First, before Larry, why are you so tired? You taking any B12?
No, yeah, I am, but Trade, I get up on this computer. I'm in the middle of a project, and I'm on
Right.
this computer, and then it just goes, and I say one more. Let me try one more thing on it, and then I'm dealing with countries that are 12 hours, 8 hours, 7 hours away. So I'm just and doing a lot of research and a lot of work, and I'm at the point now where the easy stuff is done. Now every step I take, I know what I want to get. I know what I should get. I know what will definitely work. I'm just having. My friend told me the best advice. He says, Larry, you're going to go crazy. He says, just you know what you want. You know the size. You know the weight. You know everything. Get in the plane. Go to China, and I forgot to shut my phone off.
Really?
I'm shutting my phone off because I left it on, and this number guy keeps calling me. Okay, let me shut the phone off. This way it won't freeze. But I'll be all right once I start listening because you guys.
I'll wake you up.
No, I'm not. I won't fall asleep.
Trade will wake you
Go
up.
ahead, Greg. Go ahead, Greg. What were you going to say?
Well, I said a trade today of interest to me because, let's face it, sometimes it's not just the racing or the horses or the drivers or the trainers or the grooms that are interesting. It's guys like Trade who've kind of done it all in harness racing and now still continues to record in the music business. I've been watching a series on Netflix. It's been around a while called Nashville, but it was shot back in around 12, 13, 14, stuff like that. And things have changed dramatically since then. You should see what they were doing. They had the social media effect of it all, but people were still buying the CDs, the albums, they were saying. What do they do? How would an artist make money today?
Well, the artist basically is supposed to make money by doing personal appearances. Because I had a few record companies, and I still have a record company. A record company releases a record as a vehicle for the artist to get a household, become a household name, so he can tour or she can tour and make money concert-wise. The idea of making money with records went out a long time ago. And if you like B.B. King, who I used to produce, who had 50, 60 albums out internationally, then you start making a decent amount of royalties. But if you just have one little record out here or there, maybe it sells 500,000. My record on the charts, I heard sold only about 250,000. But I never saw a penny because I know it was a vehicle for me to do the Dick Clark show, to go on all different kinds of venues and make money on stage. That's what the basic thing is.
So in the days of the American Bandstand, the Soul Trains, those guests were on for free, correct?
Basically, yes.
As big a star as they were.
As a promotional thing, yeah. And some guys wouldn't go on. Like Elvis wouldn't go on Dick Clark show, I don't think. Because he never went on Dick Clark.
Would they have to pay? Because I know sometimes there's like an actors guild.
Oh yeah, well I'm in that.
Yeah.
I'm in the,
so would they have to pay you a minimum then? Like if you went on a show today, whatever it was on one of the networks, wouldn't they have to pay you a minimum after, I guess is what you call it here, right?
Yes, after and SAG and Screen Actors Guild. Yeah. It's
What's
after
SAG?
actually. Yeah.
What's SAG trade?
SAG is Screen Actors Guild. I'm in both of them
Screen
since the mid-60s I've been in them.
Well, is there one for musicians?
Yeah, the AFM, the American Federation of Musicians. I'm in that too. That's another union. Yeah.
But so let's say they had you come on a talk show and you sang a song. Would that show be? They would then owe some kind of a royalty or a minimum payment to you because of the all the different. What did you say the one was for music?
They're supposed to pay you after wants them to pay you for after scale for going on the TV show.
Right.
But most of the times it's dealt with promotional, like a promotional jargon thing where they get out of paying the fee for some reason.
Don't you have to be pretty good to trade to be at what they call a scale musician?
Yeah, of course. You have to be able to read music and be able to do a show or do a recording session or do something. Or else
and that also gives you a minimum, correct, that they have to pay you, which is a decent minimum, I take it.
It's like for a recording session, right now it's I think around $350. It's a 3-hour recording session. I think the scale is around 350. Used to be 150 years ago. Now it's around 350, and it may be more because I haven't done a legitimate New York session in, let's say, 15 years or so. Because I don't.
Hey, Trade, I'm going to jump in here. What about if they want to use one of your songs for a movie?
Well, that's another thing. They have to deal with me, either the publisher of the music first. They have to get permission from them, and they have to pay a certain fee. And usually, it's a pretty hefty fee.
Yeah. Paul Vance told me that it's a good year that when they use this song "Itsy Bitsy Teeny Weeny Yellow Polka Dot Bikini," that they paid him. It was put on hold for 1 year. They paid him $500,000 to put a hold on it for the first year, and it basically jumped into a second year, which was another $500,000, and then they had to pay him $50,000 for every 30 seconds that the song was played. And in that particular movie, they played it for 2 minutes. So he was telling me he made $1,200,000 off of that song in that movie.
Yeah, well, he was a big talker. He talked a big game all the time. And
there was a lot of money back then.
If he was making $50,000,
well, the movie was done about 2015, 16, 17, something like that. It's a good year with Russell Crowe. Russell Crowe. They did it in French. So, the song was sung in French.
Yeah. Well, he probably got an extra $1 million for that too. Paul made a lot of money in his dream. In his dream, he made a lot of money.
Hi, Donald. Hello.
Hey, Donald.
Hello.
Hey, Donnie.
Hello.
Trade. Got a question here for you.
Go ahead.
Good evening, David, because he said good evening. One is, I have two of them for you. Dick Clark came across as a really nice person, says Eric. Did you know him?
Dick, yeah, I was on the show. Yes, I know him. And I did his
Okay.
radio show too. I did his radio show a couple of times, and I did his bandstand show. Definitely, I was on in 62 or early 63. And you want to hear something really funny? I did a show later, a couple of months later, with Alan Freed. Alan Freed had just gotten back from being banned for a long time. He was on the coast, and he came back, and he was PD, program director, at a radio station in Miami. And I had to go down to Miami. The promotion man met me at the airport, and I was supposed to do Alan's show, which I did. And I met Alan, and Alan goes to me. First time I met Alan. And for me, I grew up listening to Alan Freed. So, it was like meeting Frank Sinatra to me. If I would have met Frank Sinatra, it would have been easier than meeting Alan Freed. Alan Freed was almost like a god to me, But I was a little nervous meeting Alan Freed, but he came in. Hey, Trade, how you doing, buddy? And he had like this gruff voice. He goes, hey, man, how you doing? I said, everything's good, Alan. He said, what you been doing? He said, I said, I was just on the Dick Clark. He goes, Dick Clark! He wanted to strangle Dick Clark. He was ready to strangle me. But I said, I'm not Dick Clark. He was so pissed off because Dick Clark got away with all the payola thing. He was a good man, good boy. He was taking more payola than anybody, I heard. He didn't take any from me, but I heard he was taking more payola than anybody. And Alan Freed got picked up because he was taking $50 here, $50 there, and Paul Vance was sending him $500,000, of course, because Paul had all Paul was a big talker. Yeah, man, my horse went this morning. He went and went 49. We trained him. Yeah, we trained him this morning. Yeah, he went and went 49 in his dream. Anyway.
Eric has a follow-up, Trade, for this. Question for Trade. Were All-American Bandstand Performance lip-synced?
Yes, definitely.
They were.
Yeah, there was no band there. It was all lip-sync. Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
I gotta say something. I have to say this because I just remembered it. One of the best things. Now I've been following Trade in the 50s and 60s, and he had one of the best in the whole country bands. And like I said before, he'd start at 9 o'clock. His first break would be at midnight, and then he'd go for 5 minutes, and then he's played till 3 in the morning, and one right after another, never stopped. And the whole room was always jammed. But anyway, about 2, maybe 3 years ago, I went to Trade, and I said, Trade, you got to do me a favor. A friend of ours just got out of jail after 45 years. And all he did in jail was write music and write songs and everything else. And I need you to do me a favor. There's a country western star. I don't remember the name of the country western star, but Trade.
Merle Haggard. It was Merle Haggard.
Merle Haggard. He took that song and the thing my friend wrote that just got out of jail, he intertwined, he put it together, and it's the greatest piece I ever heard. The two things come together, and he put it together in the country western thing. He did it from scratch. I only wish that I can't find it. I looked all over for it because I was going to call you up. But now that you're here, do you have a copy of that?
I think I have it somewhere. But, there's a couple of my hard drives went south for some reason, went bad. I should have kept them. The computer guy got them. We got to
find that because I got to play it on the podcast. It is unbelievable what he did. Really unbelievable.
There was a lot of work went into that.
Talking about country and western, Trade, Chris Coyle has asked Johnny Paycheck.
Yeah.
Now, one of his greatest albums was called Johnny Paycheck, New York Town, and I've seen it on YouTube actually. You ever meet him?
No, I'm not familiar with you. I know the name, of course.
A11 was a big one that he had.
Oh yeah, I never knew Johnny Paycheck. No, I never did.
Well, and actually, the biggest one ever was Take This Job and Shove It.
Did he do that?
Yeah, well, here's what happened.
Take
George
this job and shove it.
George Jones was supposed to cut it, and he pulled a no-show, and Johnny Paycheck made it his, to the point where I don't think that even George Jones would say that he could do the justice that Johnny Paycheck. It was just a song perfectly written for him.
Right.
You know, as the way that it worked out.
Did he write it? Did he write it, or maybe Paul Vance wrote that one? I don't know. You know.
Take This Job and Shove It. We got to look that up.
Donnie, can you hear us?
I like Paul Vance.
David Allen Coe. Sorry, David Allen Coe wrote it.
Oh, okay.
And he wrote a lot of songs like that. You know, with an edge to them, right?
Right.
Donald Dancer, can you hear us?
Yes.
Hey, Don.
Okay. All right, we hear you.
Hi, Don. How you doing?
Good, thank you. Thank you.
I know last week you had a lot of problems. This week you look great.
Well, a little better tonight.
Yeah.
It still wasn't easy.
Trey, you gotta do me a favor and look for that song.
I will definitely, Larry. I think I can put my hands on it. I'll start looking for it tomorrow. Give me a couple of days. I'll see if I can find it. I want to hear it myself.
Hey, Larry. Hey, Larry. The last time you played the song that Trey and myself were associated with, the Roosevelt Raceway song, tell the audience what happened there.
Well, YouTube keeps calling me and says you can't be playing songs that are copyrighted, and with your money, so they don't monetize the thing. I don't care. I'm going to play with it. In the beginning, I used to play all Sinatra songs and everything. I played that one. I stopped playing them because Joe Garino gets mad. He don't like Liza Minnelli, so I just stopped playing the songs. But I don't care. It don't make no difference to me. I mean, I don't care. In fact, if he finds a song, when he finished the song, he called me up, and we went. Me and my friend went to. It was Juicy. Me and Juicy went to the studio, and he had a whole thing there. That guy that played that, like the guitar that's laying flat. I don't know what you call that thing.
Yeah, the steel guitar player. Yeah, my friend.
Yeah, it was a guitar that lays flat.
He was great. Yeah,
the slide thing. Boy, it was really, really good. We gotta find.
I'll look for it. I'll start looking for it. You know, the funny thing is about YouTube. When I put a song up that I publish that I wrote myself, and it's another version of it, they contact me and they say, you can't do that because it's copyrighted. I said, no shit, it's copyrighted by me. That's my song. They don't even care. It's a copyrighted song. You can't do it. You can't use it. I mean, what do you mean I can't use it? My own song? You kidding me? I got permission from Paul Vance.
Hey, Trey, is
Paul Vance sounds like he had the key to the industry.
Yeah.
Paul was a nice guy. I like Paul.
David, quickly, because we want to respond as we go here. I'll be back when we go back being a show about racing. Well, I'll tell you what, Dave, we're still trying to figure out what we're about, actually.
Hey, I do have some. Tell Dave I have some Roosevelt Raceway trivia questions that we can ask a little bit later as we go along here.
Come on, let's do it. Let's get back into racing.
And as far as, I wasn't finished with you
for now.
Okay, so here at Roosevelt Raceway, this is an easy one. What driver between 1956 and 86 won the most Messenger Stakes?
I have no idea.
Houghton, maybe?
Yeah. Well, you answered the question. I was going to say let the audience answer.
Oh.
And the next one.
So was it Houghton?
Yeah, that was Billy Houghton. He won 7.
Okay,
the next one is who was the first driver to win the first driving title at Roosevelt Raceway? 1940.
It had to be Huey Bell.
Nope.
Could be.
1940. See if some people can answer.
Yeah, but the only problem with that is you may not get the answer for a long time. It's on the
Yeah, if you're here all night with that.
yeah
They won't.
Hmm.
No, we go on and we see maybe somebody will call in with the answer.
1940.
You Bell? Could it be you Bell? You
I
Bell?
said
No.
no.
Oh, you did say
Donald,
you
you probably know.
Is it
Stanley answer?
Frank Stafford or Henry
A
Thomas?
little bit before Stafford.
Hmm.
No, I'll give the
Henry
answer to that one. Carl Dill.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Mhm.
Now here's one for everyone. What was the richest race ever contested at Roosevelt Raceway?
I have no idea.
That's easy.
Well, yeah.
What did
The International.
No,
Really?
really.
I don't know that.
it wasn't the Breeders' Crown when Hervé won it when O'Donnell's playing.
Nope. I'll tell you. I'll tell you who won the race. Nicky McNichols won the race.
Wow, Mickey.
With Broadway Express or somebody?
I believe. Yep.
Or
He won it with the purse was $611,800. It was the Peter Houghton, and it was a pace at that time.
That's right. Yeah, it was a pace. It was a 2-year-old pace, wasn't it?
Yep.
Freddie?
Yep.
Yeah.
What year was that?
And
Fred?
the next one between 1959 and 1986. What country won the most international trots?
France?
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Correct. 11. USA had 10.
I got to remember to let the audience try. Sorry.
Okay, so now this one here. What driver has the most Roosevelt Raceway wins?
Well, we know
Carmine?
Joe Garino was the leading trainer and wins, right? That we do know.
Carmine?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I was going to say that.
Carmine, yes.
Yeah.
The first George Morton Levy Memorial Pace in 1985. Who won driver and horse?
85.
I don't know.
Let's leave that one for the audience, and I'll put the others out there, and then they can come in and answer them as they want.
Right.
What year was the highest amount of the what was the highest handle for one day ever at Roosevelt Raceway?
We have to ask Bob Marks that.
I mean, who would ever even know that? Really?
Yeah.
No,
but these
Maybe
people.
Paul Vance.
I have the book here.
Oh, maybe Paul Vance may know. But I mean,
I think Trade is right. For the group that we have tonight, I can't imagine them getting any of this. Correct me if I'm wrong. They weren't around then.
that's true.
Yeah.
Well, some of them probably
as-
were.
as Trade would say.
Good.
Okay.
Freddie.
I got a question. Trade, what's your favorite song?
My favorite song?
Yeah.
Probably Stardust.
Yeah.
Yeah.
By Willie Nelson?
No. By one of the original. I mean, listen, Willie he does everything nice, but
Yeah. Who
I
did
think
it?
Sinatra sang that song, but only sang part of it. He didn't. I think.
yeah, he sang the opening verse. And now the purple does it right. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's a different Stardust than what Willie did anyway. Probably.
Oh, maybe. I think Willie did the original Stardust.
If there was one song you would like to have recorded, what would it be?
Well, I guess I already recorded it, but I have my version of MacArthur's Park coming out.
Yeah.
And all the mob guys used to want me to do MacArthur's Park for them because I was the only guy that could really. I mean, other guys could do it, but they wouldn't want to bother with it because they wouldn't want to memorize the lyric.
It was long.
Not want to be able to play it on the piano either. You know. I mean,
The interesting thing about that is it was written by Jimmy Webb, right?
Right. Right.
And Jimmy
correct.
Webb wrote Galveston. By the time I get to Phoenix, Wichita, Lima, he usually kind of wrote about cities.
Yes,
This
he
was a
did.
park, MacArthur Park. But I think I said one night on the show who made it the biggest hit was Donna Summer, I think, trade, wasn't it?
Yeah, but Richard
Yeah,
Harris.
big hit for her.
Richard Harris was number one. Donna Summer made a disco version of it.
Yeah,
And she
right,
was really,
right, right.
she was really a good singer, Donna
Yeah.
Summer. You know, she
Did you
was
ever
on the
meet
same
her?
label as me. She was on
Did
the
you meet
same
her?
label.
Did you ever meet her, trade?
No, I never met Donna. No, I never met her. No.
I met Diana Ross one time in
Oh yeah.
the airport. She was good. She was just a small little thing. Freddie,
Oh,
back
sweet.
to you. Want to ask some more questions?
Yeah,
Go ahead.
Freddie.
Okay, I just have one more.
What is it?
What horse at Roosevelt Raceway holds the record for the most sub 2-minute miles? And it was he has 15. And he's a very, very outstanding horse, and he was a fan's favorite back then.
Doc's fellow?
Yep, 100%.
Mm-hmm. Very good.
Wow.
Yeah, not bad for
Good
a
pick.
young guy, right? Donald, let's get over to you. How are you tonight?
Very good.
We're glad you could come.
Yeah, I'm happy I made it.
Well, we always like seeing you. Donald, did you get did you judge recently?
Just at the Frederick Fair in Maryland.
You know what? I was down there, speaking of that and music. I went to see George Jones sing one year at the Frederick Fair. That's a big fair.
Yes, it is very big.
And it's the home of Yankee Land Farms, of course.
Mm-hmm.
Frederick, Maryland. How many days do they do?
Well, they have about, I believe it's a 12-day fair.
Yeah.
But racing was just for 4 days. 4 days of racing.
Donnie, did you ever think about could you do the race secretary thing? Because I see like
consideration.
No, because I saw Chester was advertising for one, and as of recently, even. So I just thought of it now, maybe, but there is a course for that too, isn't there?
I believe there is.
Yeah.
You know, but once you're an official, they bounce around. You know, you'll see a lot of the, judges. They actually were race secretaries, assistant race secretaries. Then they were announcers too.
Right. Yeah.
And some of them that I know, I mean, they bounce around doing all three: race secretary, announcer, and the judge. I mean,
So Donald, do you plan on becoming an announcer too?
No, not really.
I'm kidding. You know that.
I would prefer
Donnie,
to be a judge.
what about the race secretary? You could do that, don't you think?
I would think so. Yeah. Especially if I had.
Once you get up to speed, and now where most of them are entered electronically, it's easier.
Yeah, easier.
Sure, it gives you a program, and then it tells you what class they fit. But the judge would have to still check it because there's probably something you'll see. I forget. I was in there one day, and they had one that, let's say it said non-winners of 3 or 80,000 or something, and they had one in there that had the 3 wins and like 200 some thousand. How would ever get in, I don't know, but they scratched the horse. So that's the kind of stuff that you'd have to do.
Yeah, well, that's part, like, their job is to make sure the horses are eligible and the dates are correct and they're not on any kind of list anywhere or anything. And then Coggins tests and everything's up to speed, and then approved to race there. And then the next thing, then it goes to the judges, and they have to review the entries as well. They get a copy of the proof, and then they have to check it. Some of the judges are in charge of that they have to check each horse and make sure they're eligible to race. So, there's a lot more to it than what people really realize,
Oh, yeah, for sure. The interesting thing I've always said about Chester, if you have a horse entered there, you can set your watch. 12:32, it's up at the latest.
Wow.
What it is?
Really?
Yeah, I think whatever it is, 2 minutes after the hour, they update all that stuff in Chester. Guaranteed, if you look at 12:02, I've even seen it up at 11:32, but 12:32 for sure. When the Meadowlands, you should take them all day to draw. It used to be double draw. I see they're doing it faster now. Maybe I know in the day that Joe was there, he probably really really try to make it, you know, a good betting card. It would, so it would have to move things around, you know?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
I got to put this up because my friend sent this in. PM. He says, Larry, I saw where some guy asked you why you pick horses over cars, and you had the best answer. You said 1 is the money, and 2 was the last time I checked, you can't fall in love with a fender. And that was true. That was during some interview that somebody gave me. But hope you're well, PM.
Yeah, and I have a PM question. Greg, whatever happened to the horse you own, Merchandiser? Merchandiser is in Illinois, bought by the Amish, which is no insult anymore because they spend more money than we do. You saw a video. Yeah, it was really a beautiful looking horse and a well-bred horse. And, you know, Christy Marcos did most of the work with him on the stallion side. And she ended up with it perfected. But that semen went out the door. It was excellent. But she really, really worked at that lab. He had one, he only bred PM. I wouldn't think he'd have 10 live foals, but one that I named after my mother called Grace won a gold Ontario Sire Stakes at Flamborough and beat the filly that won the Breeders' Crown, Mark Edsel's filly, who I can't think of the name of course. But that's what happened to Merchandiser. And thank you for asking. Back to you, Larry, or whoever.
Next time you talk to Billy, I know you talk to him probably every day. And tell him I said hello, and I hope he's feeling better, and like to get him back on one day. How's he doing with his foot?
Well, he's out of the cast or whatever he had. He's doing better. You know, I know that, but it wasn't easy, huh? You know, really, really wasn't. So, yeah. I'll tell you what he did. You know what he did tell me? The man below you there could really get horses to go. Donald Dancer. Billy O'Donnell told me that. Yeah, there you go. Donald, that's a pretty good endorsement, you know.
That's a great compliment.
Yeah.
Mr.
You know?
O'Donnell.
He get them to go now.
Yeah.
Because he drove against you, he remembers.
Yeah, we had a couple good battles, real good battles.
Yeah. You remember any battles?
Oh yeah, I remember.
What? Dragon's Lair, maybe? Or
No, it was believe it or not, it was in the real cold winter time. I think it was like January.
Yeah.
And the temperature was maybe like 5 or 10 degrees. I mean, it was brutal. And he had a heavy favorite in the race, and I had a horse that was by Bye Bye Bird. His name was I even remember Whoa Boy Blue Chip, and I bought him from Sunny Dancer, my cousin.
Oh yeah.
And I ended up cutting the mile. I was on top at the half, and it was just hoping I could get a weak third quarter, and I knew he'd be coming at the end, well down, because he was a heavy favorite. And I got the 3/4. I think it was like 32 in a piece because it was so.
Meadowlands?
Yeah, it was brutal.
Yeah, it was so cold. I've seen it. Yeah.
Yeah, and here he come, and he come first up, and he came at me like he thought he was go by me anytime he wanted, but I hadn't used my horse yet, you know. And then we took off, him and I ended up head and head, and I beat him right by a head in 2 minutes and 4/5, you know. And that's a race I'll never forget because, like I said, you know, he thought for sure he had me, you know.
What was the name of the horse he had? Do you remember?
Yeah, I don't remember now. I might have saved the program. Yeah, he probably remembered. But yeah, he was a heavy favorite.
Eric has a question for Greg. Did your parents name you after the famous actor? No, I was born on St. Gregory's Day. Being Catholic, but it's kind of worked out when I got in the media training business. Thank you for asking, Eric. Nobody ever forgot your name, really. It's funny though when you call and somebody, your name, please, Gregory Peck. Did you say Beck? Peck? You say, wait now, they might, because so many read the book in school, To Kill a Mockingbird, which he starred in, you know, on the screen. Yeah. So a lot of people, there was a lot. Hervé used to talk guns and Navarone. He used to say to me when I'd come along. But the most famous part was the Atticus Finch in To Kill a Mockingbird. Right. Donnie?
I don't know. The first time you were on our show, I think Trade said we got the man in the gray suit coming.
That's a good way of putting it.
Yeah.
Gregory Peck was also played Ringo. Remember that? Ringo? The gunslinger?
I don't remember. No, but you remember.
Yeah.
Donnie.
Yeah.
Couldn't you something will open up in the judging? No. Well,
Well,
I
you
guess.
never know. You never know.
I
I
guess
mean,
if freehold closed down. You know,
yeah.
that's significant. Yeah. Yeah.
Mhm. Right.
To me, the one. Are you still living over around freehold?
Yeah, I live in Marlboro, New Jersey.
Okay, so yeah, a little above freehold, but still, you could easily get to Chester,
Mhm.
right?
Yes.
Be the easiest one, probably.
Chester would be an ideal
Yeah,
situation.
you just go down and get on 195, and
Mhm.
yeah,
Yeah, I'd
oh,
take
something.
it.
What?
Yeah, you never know. Something opens up,
You got to keep
Yeah.
trying.
Yeah, right now, just, bouncing around with it. I was hoping something would break loose after a while. Even Plain Ridge later on next year, maybe,
Would you do that?
possibly, yeah,
Yeah,
with
I wouldn't mind.
the right
You have
deal.
to
I
stay
even
there,
hear,
Bob.
I hear Aces is very good also,
In Minnesota.
Yes, I
But
hear
no,
that's a
that's
good one.
not around the corner, though.
No, but they say they work it pretty good with you, with putting you
Yeah,
up
I've heard that too,
and good pay, and they treat you good. That's what I've heard from other judges.
and I'm sure they put you up in a place to stay.
Yeah, I just I still feel the same way. I hate to leave home.
Well,
Chester would be perfect. Done in the afternoon and come home and you're home at night. How do you beat that? So
yeah, that is hard to beat.
that would
Yeah.
that would have been a good spot.
But the Minnesota thing wouldn't be as competitive, maybe, because just what you're talking, a lot of guys are around. They can get to Chester, the Meadowlands, Yonkers,
Mhm.
Poconos, whatever, right?
Right.
But Minnesota is one meet, and there's nobody there year round, kind of thing.
Right. So
Does
that
Dave
seems to be a
McGee
spot.
ever end up there?
What's that?
Did Dave McGee end up there? Because he was doing.
Not that I know of, but I know Sorrentino went there. He was there. Mike Sorrentino.
Oh, really? Michael? Okay.
Yeah, he was a judge there. Yeah.
And he stayed?
He was there maybe even twice. He went out there. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, and they let you travel back and forth, and that's what I understand. So
Michael Sorrentino was a judge. He stopped driving.
Yeah.
Junior. Yeah, Michael Sorrentino.
Yeah. Mike Garino and I were talking about that the other night. He was telling me that. Yeah. Really a nice guy, too. He drove for me one time, Mike.
His father passed away, and his father had a big business, sheetrock business. And I thought for sure Michael, the son, would take. I thought when he left the driving and training business, I thought he is because he took over the construction business because it was a big company. But I guess he didn't. He must have went to school and become a judge. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Well, maybe they sold out of the construction business. I think somebody might have told me that too.
Yeah.
Again, Mike Garino seemed to know.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he speaks pretty well.
That kid was a good driver. He was a good driver.
Not bad. He was left-handed too, I think, Donald.
That's right. He was one of the ones I mentioned. There was I could only think of like 5, and he was one of them.
Okay, we said Jimmy Morrill, you, Eddie Davis, Mike Sorrentino. Who else?
Lou Williams.
Lou Williams. I meant to say that. Yeah.
And he was one of the few guys that got as many stalls as he wanted at Yonkers. He was stable.
Donnie, what do you remember about Lou Williams? Because he's been gone a long time.
Talented guy. He was talented.
Yeah.
Weren't taking that away from him. Yeah. Could get a horse, to go, and he knew what he was doing. He didn't make too many bad moves on the racetrack and competed against anybody and everybody. And, it's not easy, what a minority that goes against other people, just like the women drivers, a lot of people, if nothing else, in their head, they think that people aren't going to treat them fair, And
well,
I always try to I enjoy competition.
Yeah.
I welcome competition.
I drove with them for years, and I saw her. I was in the hospital with she had 2 broken wrists, not one. Jackie and Gracia, and she was back driving not that long, and I watched her drive last year. She looked the same as she ever did.
Yeah.
I couldn't believe it. Like usually as someone gets older, body language changes that, but no,
Mhm.
not Lady J. And there's a girl now, I should say a woman, Lauren Triton, whatever, winning at the Meadowlands.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's
Yeah.
also a woman at Rideau Carlton called Marie Claude Auger. I think she's about second,
Mm-hmm.
which you don't, usually see, huh?
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
So like I said, it's great. Like I said, to let more people, if they want to compete, we welcome them.
Yeah.
And if they can make it in this business, God bless them.
Somebody said Bruce Ulrich left-handed too.
Yeah,
Right?
I believe he
Yeah.
is. Yeah. Okay,
So,
there's
yeah.
another
Well,
one.
I'm waiting for the first trans driver. That's what I'm waiting for.
Oh. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Trade what? Yeah. Remember how Donald Trump said about how with the swimmers, the size of her and all that? You think we'll
But
have to get a small one though?
But what do we do about the restrooms if that was to happen?
Yeah. What are we
The
going to do
locker
about that?
room.
And Trade? What are you going to do about
And
because
the
they
locker
only
room.
have a
What
big one
are we
for
gonna
the
do
men, and a
about that?
small one for the women. So they're
The
going to have
women
to
can
get a
use-
third.
The women can use the men's lockers anytime they want. I always said that they can come into my locker room anytime they want.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't want a man in the room with my daughter or anything. But
No.
any woman can come in when I'm undressing.
There you go.
I have no problem with it. But by the way, I'm no big driver, even though I've sat behind a few. But I am left-handed too. But I use
There
my
you go.
whip.
There's another
I
one.
use
Yeah.
I use my right hand for the whip. I don't know. I always used it in my right hand.
Now, David says here, Lou Williams was spectacular, so underrated. I wouldn't say that, David. Everybody I talked to says about what Donald said. He was great, Lou Williams.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I never heard anything else but.
Yeah.
Yeah, he got killed on a tractor, huh?
Yeah.
Is that how
Yep.
we got?
Yeah, tractor rolled over him. Yeah, but I think Donald, he was addicted, huh?
Yeah, I understand he had some problems.
Yeah.
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 It's a shame.
That might
I
have been
went
the-
over his house one night. He bought. I think I bought a horse from him because I brought him a bunch of money. It was $100,000, all cash. And he says, "Come on over." He lived in Secaucus, built right on the water there, with them buildings right there. I think they were sinking about an inch a year at the time.
Yeah.
He was worried about that. But anyway, he lets me in, and he had a beautiful wife, blonde white girl, and she was beautiful, and they were high as a kite. Just so, and I gave him the money, and he didn't even look. He didn't count it, and it was a lot of money, in the suitcase, and it was sad, But back then, a lot of people fell victim to that. A lot of guys. A lot of people know about, but the one I was shocked when I found it. I don't even want to mention his name, but he was. If he's not in the Hall of Fame, he should be. Billy O'Donnell knows him very well, and he died last year or the year before. But that was a shock when I heard about him, and he was a good guy too. But when that grabs you, it grabs you, and guys like Walter Case and Lou Williams and 3 or 4 other guys, they could have been around today and superstars, but it got them just like the gambling addiction got me. The drugs and it got them guys. It was sad.
Well, I heard Lou. Larry, I heard Lou paid the taxes on that money that you gave him in the suitcase.
Yeah. Well, that's why he said, just give me cash. I'll take care of it. Yeah, I'm sure he did.
Couple of comments here. Somebody asked, can you geld a trans colt? LOL. Actually, several years back, but I can't think of the name, there was a mare that they discovered was actually a horse. Now, I forget how it happened. It was the oddest thing. And then they even had to denote it, and she even had to race with the horses. I'll have to ask somebody who remembers that. But that was in my Meadowlands day, that's for sure. It was a very odd thing. Eric wants to know, Mr. Dancer ever drove at Liberty Bell or Brandywine? I got the answer to that. In the day, he only drove at each place when they were opened. Right, Donald?
Yes.
All the time. All the time, in other words, yeah.
Yeah.
That's where that was your, yeah.
Yeah, I was leading driver there 77, 78, 79, 81.
Donald, did you see where Dr. Borthwick died?
No, I did not.
Well, I'm glad I told you, because I remember, and you guys trained the horse. The last horse I remember him racing was Dad's Silk Tie.
That is
Didn't
correct.
you drive him for your father?
Yes, I did.
And Dr. Borthwick owned him.
Yeah, I won with him at the Meadowlands also. But before that,
That's right.
Mr. Weaver owned the horse. And
What's
then what happened was the horse, would get sore and it had to be laid up a long time and then come back again several times in his career. And my dad and the owner worked out a deal with Borthwick that he took the horse and took him to his farm, gave him the time off there. Then he brought in, we helped bring the horse back training wise and back to the races again. And then he ended up owning half of the horse with Weaver.
It was really a good looking horse.
Oh, he's a very nice.
Was he Donald, maybe a Super Gill or something?
Super Gill's correct, yeah. We had two of them, him and Classic Model at the time.
Yeah.
A pair of really nice horses, both by Super Gill.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
He was a really nice horse. The other day that he died, and I knew.
Yeah, I didn't know. Yeah.
I can tell you, like where I was in Newtown, he went to Vernon's lots, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah, he was
very close to your father.
Yeah, he was very nice. He used to do I was the first one to hire him at Liberty Bell.
What, for blocking the feet?
No, I watched him one day do some work at a barn on some other horses, and the people kept bugging him and bugging him and bugging him, and nothing seemed to faze him. And I said, this guy, he looks like he's a good vet to me. And nothing seemed to rattle the guy, So
but
then
what he did have was a very famous foot block.
Yes, he did.
That the other vets would even buy from him.
Yeah, that is correct.
And I asked him one day who invented it, and he told me, and you laugh at the name, a Dr. Quackenbush, imagine Quack, from Ottawa, Ontario, Canada. I forget he told me how it happened, but anyway, it was, if you were going to block feet, but they could, problem was if they got a reaction, you could be in trouble.
Right.
But in my race horse days, that was really the sought after foot block. There's no
was a snake venom?
Well, we don't know. You hear that, but nobody, it was never proven. Like, I don't know. You'd hear that. Yeah. Which now, if
you know what the best foot block was? Let me tell you what the best foot block was. And I was told this, and I tried it because I had a horse that had real bad. Anyway, just get the nerve, and what I did to make sure, because I wanted to make sure it worked. Instead of nerving them, we would do the same procedure: make a little slit. Take that little there's like a tube where there's a blood vessel, a nerve, and a vein or something, and you take the nerve out, pull it out to make sure you get it. And then if you were going to nerve them, you would cut the nerve. But what we did was injected alcohol into it, and that would kill the nerve, but it would regenerate after about 3-4 months, and it worked. It worked, and that's all we did. We just put the nerve back in. It wasn't cut. It was just injected with alcohol. The nerve died. I guess it died, but it rejuvenated. And I think the horse got claimed from me before I had to do it again. But it worked, and that was the best nerve block. But I tried the other block, that the guy that you mentioned. I had to bring the horse down to his farm. Anyway.
Donnie,
yes.
What was you have a breeding influence too. You raised her, Bill bought her, and she was a damn pampered princess. What was her name? Nice mare.
Bold Dreamer?
Old Dreamer. That's it.
Mhm.
Yeah, I remember
I was
when you had.
second. I was second
What?
in the Breeders' Crown with her in Canada.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm just going to get to that. But didn't you race her a lot at Dover in the Open?
Oh
huh?
yeah, I win the Opens. I won several Opens with her. Everything.
Yeah.
But
But she did produce Pampered Princess, who raced in the Hamiltonian.
yeah,
Got parked a mile with Tim Tetrick, but she did race in the Hamiltonian.
yeah,
But Bold Dreamer had a great gait.
yeah.
Right.
She was a nice, big, strong mare, kind of wide, you know.
Yeah.
And had a big rump on her, a lot of power.
Yeah.
But you know, he got her from, I believe, Chuck Sylvester. He sold her at the sale or something, and that's how he ended up buying her. But he bought her for a future brood mare. We raced her the 1 year, and then that was it. Then he bred her.
What was she by? I forget now.
Yeah, I do too. Yeah,
I got to think of that one.
yeah.
PM wants to know, is there ever a time?
Donerail, no?
No. Oh, could be. You wouldn't think because she was so good mannered. A lot of them weren't, huh?
Yeah,
I'm going to check it out here.
Yeah.
Oh, you're looking that up.
I think
You got to check on that.
Yeah, I'm going to check it now.
Yeah.
PM asks, is there ever a time or a state when horses raced on Butte when it was allowed? And
Oh yeah.
there was.
Well, that you could race on it in Florida, I think, Donald, couldn't you? Butte in the day.
Well, I think you
And
could.
maybe Massachusetts, I'm thinking.
And Los Alamitos. I was in Los
California.
Alamitos, and they would allow Butte. You could use Butte.
That's right. You went there too, didn't you?
Yeah, I was there for about 9 weeks, I think, something like that.
You came back?
Oh
You
yeah,
just went for one meet.
yeah. It wasn't quite what it was cut out to be. What I was understanding it would be.
Was that when Lloyd Arnold took over and
Yeah.
paid everybody to ship out there?
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Yonkers wasn't doing quite as well. You know, the claimers were getting lower and lower, and the purses were getting lower and lower. And he came along and he offered me a nice deal to go to Los Alamitos. And I know it was a major change to make, but I said I was young, I might as well give it a shot, you know. But when I got there, about 75% of what he told me came true. But the biggest sale was that he said that they would end up simulcasting to Hawaii and to Taiwan.
Right.
And he said, this is going to be the Meadowlands in the West, you know? And that sounded really good, you know, like if that really happens, you know. And he said, if you get in here on the ground floor, you're going to do fantastic, you know. So I never had the owner of a racetrack that was really trying to promote you. So I said, you know what? You know, if the guy really wants me to go, maybe I should do it. So I went, you know, and like I said, 75% of what he told me, you know, they did. They put me up in a nice place. They covered all the expenses. I brought. He gave me funds to buy horses with before I came there. So
Really?
I'm thinking, how can I miss? How can I miss?
Right.
So I went there, but you know, I picked up a few catch drives, but it wasn't what they thought it was going to be. And I found the problem there was the horses, through economic crisis, I guess, through the period of time there.
Yeah.
Like a 20 claimer worked its way down to like an 8.
Yeah.
So you come there with a 10 claimer and you're really racing against a 20. Right. And that's what I found. Everything had devalued in value, price-wise, but yet the horses were very, very good. So my horses that I came there that were legitimate, let's say 10, they were really a 4. And I said, right away, I realized I was in trouble here. I said, oh boy. And I won some races, you know, and I hooked up with a couple trainers. That was all right, you know, but it wasn't like I didn't understand that at first until I was there. And then I got to see it. I got to meet Rick Plano. I say he was one of the most interesting fellows that I had met, and very interesting, very nice guy. And we just
Donnie, you were right. Donerail, by the way.
Huh?
She was a Donerail. You're right.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Yeah.
Out of a Florida Pro mare. No, it was odd because remember, Donerail was a dirty little bastard, as O'Donnell said. You remember he came back at 3, and he get beat at the Meadowlands by a horse called Joey I, and then Stanley retired him, huh?
Yeah.
But she, a lot of them didn't have the manners, but she certainly did, right? There was
Yeah, she had manners. Yeah, she had manners.
Oh, she was basically flawless, right?
Yeah, she was a little funny hooking up, but other than that, she was fine. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then in that race, I remember that very well. In the Breeders' Crown, you're thinking how to drive it. Campbell had an outstanding horse in there. He was driving, John. And I was like, instead of thinking about how you're going to beat the guy, or cost him the race, rough him up, I was thinking about, I'm going to want to follow him. So sure enough, he floated out of there, and I was inside of him, and I just looked at him, and he looked at me, and I was there like, go ahead. And I dropped him in front of me. And then when he moved, I followed him the whole way, and he won it. I was second. And I was tickled to death to be second. But a lot of people don't think like that,
Who did John win it with? Would that be?
It was a really good mare, really good. I forget her
I'm trying to
name.
think of who it would be. Because I can remember it too.
Yeah, we got to ask him. But she was a really good mare. She was winning everything.
Billy O'Donnell tells us
she was the best.
He's got a better system than Pathway. He can go way back. I'll ask him.
But she was outstanding. And I just followed him the whole way, where he went, I went, and he won, and I was second. And like I said, that was like a win to me with her, So,
Right.
Yeah, Mr. Weaver was very happy also. Yeah. It was interesting. Yeah. And we tried her with different things, different shoes and things. And,
Right.
I think she ended up with aluminum. She had aluminums on, and we ended up putting them back on her in front. Tried different things on her. She was
Donnie
nice.
Kim wants to know, is anybody in your family still involved in racing horses now?
Only distant, a little bit of a distant relative, Barbara Bongiorno, who is my cousin Sonny's daughter. And she has a son that drives, Joey Bongiorno. So I guess that would make him like a fourth cousin to me or something. Yeah.
And Sonny, I was thinking about him the other day because I was stable with him and I was good friends with him.
Nice.
Sonny and Billy Herman were kind of catch drivers kind of before you guys, right? In a way, O'Donnell used to say, especially Billy Herman drove a lot of the Grand Circuit, huh?
Billy Herman was an outstanding driver, and he drove horses for my father before I could drive.
But Sonny drove, what was the one he was second in the Wilson with?
Well, he had Walton Hanover. He drove
Walton Hanover. Yeah. Because I can remember he told me his biggest regret is O'Donnell went 3 wide with Mackenzie Almahurst, and he said he should have.
Mm-hmm.
I asked him. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
He said,
But Sonny had a lot of good horses. Ricky Reaney Time, Golden Moneymaker, Golden Moneymaker, Ginger Bell, that he ended up with, that Harold had first, his father, Harold Sr.
Yeah.
And then he
was supposed to be the real trotting man, huh?
He was. There was no doubt about it. He was excellent. Real articulate.
They had the trot for him.
Everything had to be just so with him. And he had some really good horses, and he had a little, he didn't have the luck, but he had a smaller stable. He would only have maybe 10 horses,
Would Harold be your father's cousin?
Brother. Harold Sr. was my dad's brother. Mm-hmm.
So they were all Stanley, Vernon, and Harold.
Yes. And they were all like Harold Sr. and my dad were on our same farm, our farm. And then across the street was Stanley.
Okay.
And then Sonny, my cousin Sonny's horses, was on Stanley's side on the other half, where Melander is today.
Yeah.
Where they have their horses, Yeah,
we talked about it before.
But Harold Sr., he had the Prophet, was a really good horse. And Lightning Larry was another good horse he had. Viewpoint was another one. He had many good horses. But he was a great horseman. He really was. He belonged in the Hall of Fame, and he was one of the first ones too that was selling horses that I know of to Europe.
Really?
Open that market up. Yeah, he was selling horses to Italy, you know, and then he was friends with this Bernard that came here with Undame. He was friends with him. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Bernard, he was in the barn with Sonny.
Yeah. And then
what was that? I should know that horse's name too, the French horse, because I think Ronnie Turcotte drove him.
Yeah. And then furthermore, you know, Harold was very, very close to John Simpson Sr. And his son, Johnny Simpson Jr., married Sonny's sister.
Right.
Yeah, Lois. Yeah. Lois.
You know what? I had the pleasure. I talked to them. I sat with them at the bar the day that Muscle Hill won the Kentucky Futurity. Had a great. I always liked John Jr. I talked to him a lot, actually, and his wife. They were very, very nice.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
A couple of questions we have here. Eric about Greg Wazalik. Well, you know, I could call Pocono and see if he's interested because that's where he is. The Dancer family as good as it gets in harness racing. Well, that's for sure. Question for all: what percentage of drivers were gamblers? So that's a hard one to say. Donald, what do you think? You're the most experienced.
As far as of what? All drivers altogether? All the drivers?
What percentage of the drivers do you think actually were gamblers too?
That bet?
Yeah.
I'd say probably 95%.
That's right.
Mm-hmm.
That's right.
Yeah, only a small percentage. I think most honestly, I think most people that got into this business, one way or another, however they got into the business, they at first went to the track and watched the races and placed some bets. And that's how they got interested in horse racing. That's what I think.
Yeah.
Tell me if I'm wrong. You know,
I say you got that right. Yeah.
I'm going to tell you something. Let me tell you something. When Stanley Dancer and plus he gave me that horse, Heavily Leader, I got into the races and everything, and I went across the street. This is the Pompano. I went across the street and I asked Stanley, I said, listen, I got him to the races. And he says he was shocked because he tried for 2 years. Of course, had a couple of boat tenders. But anyway, he came over and qualified him for me. And he says, you got him real good. He said, and he gave me the horse. He says, I'd like you to drive him. So he said he would. So he drove in the first race, he win. He went to qualify. He drove in the first race, he win. The second race, he win. The third race, come back, and he win. He come back, and he said to me, he says, I can't believe this fucking shoulder. He said he couldn't be worse than second. And I $200 exact. I never knew Stanley bet, but conversation, Stanley Dancer bet a $200 exact with Heavily Leader for first, George Trophy for second, and Shelton finished third. Cut off the horse and said that fucking Shelton. That's what he said. So even the great Stanley Dancer every once in a while. It's so
somebody rubbing something or something. We're getting a little noise there.
That's ever since you turned your phone on, Greg. It's you.
No, it's not me. It was on the. Yeah. What you do, Larry? You turn off the Wi-Fi and it's fine.
I shut my phone up. My phone's been off, so it's one of you guys. I don't know who it is, but it ain't me. But it's just started.
I didn't dare.
I don't have any. I'm not using your phone. Donnie, where's your family originally from? Where's your dad and your and what's your link, foreign link to where you were from in Europe?
Scottish and English.
Oh yeah,
Scottish and English, and we're in the family that I understand it. You know, I just grew up on the farm, but my father had moved around a lot. And my grandfather, James B. Dancer, he used to rent land. And the boys grew up there on the different farms that he added. And he would rent the land and grow the crops, and then sell them, and that's where they use the horses, to
I
pull the
see.
wagons for the crops.
Right. And what area was that? though?
And Sonny loved the farming, huh?
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
he loves the farm. Yeah.
And what area was that though, Don?
It's called Red Valley, right in New Jersey here.
Oh,
Place
yeah?
called Red Valley. Mhm. Yeah.
Interesting.
And then what they did was they ended up through horses. My grandfather, James B. Dancer, like I said, he used to tell me all kinds of stuff that they used to do before there was any medications. And I mean, you hardly ever had the vet come. If
Right.
the vet did come, I mean, the horse was like dying. So, he used to tell me you had to make do with what the old
Absolutely.
remedies that you had, So he used to tell me stuff, and then what happened was they traded a horse one time, and it was a racehorse, and he raced at Freehold. So then they took the horse to Freehold, and they started to get into that racing, and then Stanley went, but Harold was the first one to be involved in the business, and then Harold and Stanley and my father, they all seen how it went there with the horses at the track. And they all liked it and wanted to do it, So then they're doing both, and they decided to get into the horse business.
Interesting.
And my dad first worked for Stanley, and they were together with the horses that Stanley had. My dad was helping him, and then my dad went on his own. So Harold was on his own, and then my dad and Stanley were on their own. Yeah.
Hey, Donald. Donald, didn't your dad pick out Neverly Pride for Stanley?
Harold did. Harold Sr.
Or Harold did. Okay.
Yeah, Harold Sr. actually had the dame. Her name was Thankful. And I think she had a mark of 210 in a piece. And he knew she was, he liked her. He thought she was a nice mare, but he had heard from the farm manager what a nice colt she had. And so Harold went up there to see him. And he said he was a grand looking horse. So then he's trying to buy him, and they wanted, I think, 20 or 25,000 for him at the time, which was a lot of money back then. So then he was trying to get some owners to buy the horse, and he couldn't get anybody. So then he came back and he told Stanley about it. So then Stanley went to see him, and he bought him. And fortunately he had the owners at the time, and he was able to buy the horse. And
You say Harold Sr. discovered him?
yes,
Couldn't get the owners.
that's correct.
Was he a nasty yearling like he was when
No, they said he was the leader, though. Leader in the field, of the other horses. He would show traits of, like a leader and grand looking horse, great gaited out in the paddock, And as we both know, anything can happen, but it looked, to that fellow that was the farm manager, he had seen enough of him that he saw something in him, that was surprising, looked like a good horse. Yep.
Well, and he was, huh? Because when they talk about the generational trotters,
Yeah.
we thought there would be Everly Pride, Maclobell, Muscle Hill. Some people say Speedy Scott was really great, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, just the different ones that they claim. That's the ones you hear of.
Right.
We can't say age because love didn't raise aged, right? So you can't, as far as 3-year-olds, that's kind of what you hear is the generational ones.
Right.
Yeah.
But a great horseman too was Howard Beisinger. With so many great horses, he came up.
We have a request here for trade. Could you sing us a little bit of My Way?
And now the end is near, and so I face the final curtain. The funny thing is, I'm doing a little. I did a couple of versions of this little trip with Ronnie Mann. Larry, you know Ronnie Mann passed away, right?
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, and Ronnie does the Italian, and Danny used to do this with him too. But I do the English. Are you lonesome tonight? And he translates it into Italian, and it's really very funny. And I also used to do that version, same kind of version with Bobby Blue, with a song called Al di là, because I used to sing it in Italian. Al di là di mare profondo, tu sei tu, and he used to say, hey, hold it a second. Everybody here is not Italian. They don't know what you're talking about. So I said, well, he says, why don't you do it in English? I said, no. I said, I don't know it in English. I really did know it in English, but it was in the act. I said, Bobby, I don't know it in English. He said, well, you sing it in Italian and I'll translate it. And it was really a funny bit.
I actually like your current greatest hit. Could you sing a little bit of that one known as Undocumento?
Yeah.
Sing us that.
Which one? Oh, Documento?
Undocumento.
When I used to be in the club, I used to say, the people in the cooks and everybody in the kitchen are Undocumento. That's what they are. Undocumento. They belong behind a bar. So,
Hey, you know what I got to do? In 5 seconds, I got to do this. I'm going to take each one of you off the screen to see if that noise stops.
I turned mine off. It's not me.
No, but I'm gonna do this. I'll start with Freddie.
okay.
Let's see. So if the noise goes away, that means Freddie. Let's try Freddie for a second.
There you go.
The noise is gone.
Yeah, it's Freddie.
So now we'll put Freddie back.
Yeah.
That's Freddie. It's you, Freddie.
Well, I don't know what to do.
I know.
Well, stop the
Your
toilet.
phone's not moving at all, is it, Freddie?
Stop the toilet from flushing.
No, see, now it's perfect. So it's Freddie. Let me try take trade off.
Well, I'm the one on the cell phone.
Yeah, that shouldn't matter.
No, I took trade off. No,
It's still there. Yeah. No, it's
it's
Freddie.
still there.
It's not moving, is it?
So it's Freddie. It's Freddie. Let me take Freddie up one more.
Couple of questions here.
It's Freddie.
Does the owner,
That's
judge,
the
etc., have to be informed when a horse races without shoes? The answer to that, Eric, is yeah. They're supposed to notify the judges, but I think some tracks, watch it more than others. I know Per Hendrickson did a great one. Mohawk, you have to call in your changes by 4:15 after 4 o'clock. So Per wants to race one with no shoes after he warms up. So he put the shoes on and he duct taped them up. They all fell off walking out the door. He didn't even make it to the track. So Wade McCoy, unfortunately, who died recently, the paddock judge at the time, he made him nail the shoes on because he didn't put the change in. There you go. Yeah. Only Per would do something like that.
Yeah. How about that?
So there, that's on that one. There's another one that we had. Yeah, anybody going to Harrisburg? Freddie, you going?
I don't think so.
You were talking about it.
Yep.
No,
No, I'm not going.
not gonna go. No, nobody seems to be interested in
Freddie,
that.
Freddie, why don't you try to log in again? Re-log into the show.
I think he did.
Oh, yeah?
Okay.
Oh, it's up to you, but I mean,
No, but I think Larry already put him in. Elton brought him back in.
Oh, hold on. I'll go out.
I don't think it's.
If I can figure out how to go.
maybe it's where you got the phone. You're holding the phone.
No. See, now it's gone.
Yeah.
Do we have any other current hits like Undocumento? Do we have any others now that we're here? I'd like to hear a couple of them.
I used to have a lot of fun. They come up in the club. You start working on things, and it happens in the. I used to do a little a thing with an ex-girlfriend of mine. I used to do a show, and I used to be the Muslim mechanic.
What were some of your hit songs?
And it was $1. Everything was $1 at the Muslim mechanic. Anything you can want it fixed was $1. So this girl would come in, a dumb blonde chick would come in. She goes, "Oh, hello. You know, I need my headlight. My headlight's very bad, and it's hanging down." And then the guy goes, "Everything is $1, $1. No problem, $1. You do that headlight, $1. Let me see it. Oh, I fixed this, $1. No, you $1. That's beautiful. I have my bumper. There's a bumper." He says, "You have a nice bumper." He goes there's a lot of funny things, stupid things like that. It was cute, you know. So anyway,
Well, you must have written a song for this now. I see you did write one when they caught Saddam Hussein. I saw that.
Oh yeah. I did. I had a couple of Saddam Hussein songs, but they weren't parodies though. They were serious.
No, I know, but they were still good. Gotta be careful that today. We talked about that, huh?
Yeah.
The best song I like from the racetrack, and it goes back in history, is the Daily Double song. Come on.
Oh yeah, that was cute. Yeah, that's a good song.
Yonkers. I sent that to a few people. I don't know. I think I sent that.
You know, it was a pretty good one too. Is Steve for Delaware, who drove
Steve Warrington.
what?
Steve Warrington, you're talking.
Steve Warrington, second right there.
Second right there. Yeah, it was good. It's a good thing.
Yeah, not bad. Not bad. Yeah, I didn't know
he actually had Sanibel Island for Lloyd Arnold, huh?
Yes, he did. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah.
Sanibel
You know,
Island.
I can't find this thing. Kenny McNutt. You know, I knew Kenny really well, like a lot of us did, and he was a real piece of work. Him and Denny. Well, but he called me he goes, "You got to do that song for me." He said, "I need copies of it because we're going to do a tribute for Joe DeFrank." He said, "And I want to play it for Joe and put Joe DeFrank in it." So I had recorded The Gambler with the song, made it The Horseman. And I really wrote it about Harry Pinall, but I changed it and I put Joe DeFrank in it, you know. I said, "You're the best, Joe DeFrank." It was at the end. And I can't find this, CD or tape or whatever it is. It was a cassette. And of course, Kenny is gone, so he doesn't have it. Benny used to have a copy, but he couldn't find it. And then he passed away. And then everybody asked me about it, and I couldn't find it. And I still can't find it. But it went like this. "You got to know how to check them, know how to shoe them, know how to leave the gate and come from behind. I'm trying not to pull too early. Unless you got some cover and with some stock and a little luck, you pick up a check almost every time." That was the first section.
I like the part that says, "You never count your money while you're sitting at the table."
Yeah, that's The Gambler. Yeah, that's The Gambler.
Well, yeah, but you know what, Donald? I've said this on the show before. You know, they want to talk about the fixed races. That you have to be a good driver to be able to manipulate a race. And a lot of guys who tell you they're not going with their horse and that they can't go with them. And I will say, Hervé, you hear all the time, well, how many seconds could have been wins? But Donald, you know him as well as I did. He was his own worst enemy in the way he'd get off a horse, and to make the guy feel good, he'd say, I just trained him today. I didn't race him. Instead of telling the guy the horse was no good. And the guy walk up the hill and say, "Hervé, stiff the horse," right? That's what they would do. Yeah. So that's not quite.
Well, I don't know. I mean, nobody got a bigger thrill, I think, out of winning than he did. You know what I mean?
That's right.
And nobody would have won. He wouldn't have worked as hard as he did and went to so many of the tracks that he did, raced double headers.
Yeah.
He'd even go to the fairs.
He'd love it.
Maybe race 3 tracks in a day, you know? And like he said in one of his interviews one time, he said, "How do you think I won so many races?" Because he'd hustle, he'd work hard, you know?
You know what I noticed too, Donnie? If you look at, you know, back in the day, the Yonkers and Roosevelt programs, Carmine drove in most every race. A lot of nights Hervé was not there or only had maybe 5 in. I was surprised.
Yeah.
Yeah, he did not get the mounts in New York that some of the others got, huh?
Yeah, well, Carmine would have gave the driving titles more of a run if he wanted to race that double header stuff, but he didn't want to do that. He didn't want to do that, and I did it for a while where I raced the 2 tracks, and it's very difficult. It's very difficult to have a stable of horses and try to be at the barn early in the morning, working with your horses, and then turn around and jump in the car and drive an hour and a half, 2 hours to go to Freehold, and then race there, and then come back and do that day after day. And then your family doesn't see you. I mean, you make a lot of sacrifices, and I believe it tells, it tells on the horses, it tells on you, it tells on the family. Now, if you got to hire somebody to drive you, let's say, okay, you hire a driver. Well, then there cuts into your profit that you're making, the money you're making. Now you're paying that guy. So, it's not easy. It's a difficult
or the helicopter.
Yeah, I mean, I rode with him many times from Freehold, and he'd have the helicopter there, and I'd say, "Oh, you're going back to Roosevelt now? Yeah, you want to ride, kid? Come on." So then I'd go with him.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not an easy life. You do that. People think it is.
By the way, the other thing about his gambling, like he would, he probably do this today, like when O'Donnell was everything in Campbell. O'Donnell would say to Herb, "Hey, what do you got in the next, Herb?" Herb say, "I'll parade with you, but I'm really not in the race." He'd say, because the horse wasn't good enough, huh?
Exactly.
Yeah. So a lot of that stuff, if he said to people, they would get, so it's not quite what did he do?
No.
Some of course, a lot of them did. It's like anything. But not, as they say, to the extent, because he was addicted to winning, and I can't believe that if he thought he'd rather win 20,000 than 15, right? If there was 10 races at night, he'd want to be in 12. As Ted Wing said this, if Saturday night was over, right, and they said, "Okay, let's race another card," he'd say, "As long as Hervé had a carton of cigarettes, he'd go day and night. He loved it."
That's right. And I'll tell you a quick funny story. At Freehold one day, where the programs are right up on the wall before you go down to drive the horses. He walks over, and I was getting changed, and he walks over, and I'm watching him because he's talking to me, and then he's looking at the program, and he says to me, "Well, I'm going to go down, and I'm going to win the first 2. I'm going to win the double."
Yeah.
And then he walks away. So I go over and look at the program. I said, "These horses don't look like they could win. Like, what's he talking about?" And sure enough, he wins them both. So now he comes back up. And I said, "You were right, Herb." I said, "You win them both." And he said, "Yeah, if you don't win the first 2, you can't win them all." He was unbelievable. He really was.
No.
He was a real character, man.
And then the Meadowlands, the only thing he did tell me about the Meadowlands, because I got to be, I don't know if you were there with Donnie, when I told the story the night that I won all the awards, the horse of the year, the trotter of the year, the trainer of the year. Okay. I'm coming into Yonkers, because that usually have it south somewhere. And I look, and who's there but Hervé? I couldn't believe it. He came to see me. Yeah, and he hadn't been there in 7 years.
Mm-hmm.
So he was, as soon as I get up, I saluted him, and he stood right at attention too. It was quick. And he said to me, before, "Don't think I never forgot that." Oh yeah, he was good like that.
Yeah.
Let me answer Eric's question, because he gets mad at me if we don't answer Eric.
Okay.
He gets mad. He says one time in Pimlico, a jockey gave his whip to another jockey who dropped it. Both got suspended. Did that ever happen in harness racing? No, I don't believe it ever happened in harness racing.
I thought I heard somebody grab somebody's whip who was going to do no good anyway, or something.
Well,
do you remember anything like
that?
Yeah,
I don't know.
It'd be an easy thing to do for jockeys, but not too easy for a harness guy.
Well, Donald, the fact they were all left-handed, he was left. They're right-handed. You have more chance of getting yours, right?
It happened both ways. Sometimes, if we're both coming back and coming down at the same time, sometimes we'd end up hitting each other. Hit each other in the wrist or something.
Or hook whips too, maybe. Huh?
Yeah, I mean, I've had I've had a right-handed driver hit my left hand, you know, and
Did
wrapped
you ever
right
try
around
and
my
drive
wrist.
right-handed now?
Huh?
Did you ever try and drive?
Oh yeah, I
right-handed?
can drive right hand. I
You
got
could.
yeah, I got a couple tapes of me racing right handed.
What
When
did
I had
you
a
do,
horse,
that one that ran out or something?
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
If the horse
Yeah.
runs out real bad, you know, if you
Yeah.
go to drive him on the left, he's going to run out more. So I would switch over and use the right
I
hand.
remember John Campbell in one of his injuries to his right. He literally was carrying the thing and he tried to drive left-handed. He had to stop. He couldn't do it, huh? You think he could.
Yeah.
Because I've always said about him, for 5 decades he was at or near the top, but I don't think you'll ever see that. You know, that's one of those records that, well, they say records are made to be broken, but that'd be a tough one to break. He was at or near the top 5 decades, and even when he stopped, he was better than most.
That's correct. Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
You know, I'm in touch with Jackie Moe's wife is always on my page. She's very conservative, and she's on my page. She's
Which one, Jenna or
Trump
who?
support.
Jenna, the blonde one.
Jeannie? Denise? Is it
Yeah.
Denise?
There's a Jeannie. It's hard to keep track.
It's not. Wait now, no, it's not Joanna's new wife, is it?
No. This is his ex-wife, I think.
Yeah.
But he's not doing too well. He had a little bit of a stroke and everything. You know, he's.
O'Donnell says he's all right now. He's back to work on that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
But you know, there's a guy there that, you know, I remember Jackie Lee said to me one day at the SBA Horseman's Party, if anybody was ever going to break Hervé's record, he thought it would be Jackie Moe, but you know, he did well. Jack had, you know, like all of us, we had different issues, you know.
Yeah.
Jack was a fun guy. You'd say to Jack, I'll see you tonight at the Meadowlands. You're leaving Freehold. You get up there, there'd be a lot of driver changes. Or he was going to drive your horse. He was down on 4. You knew he wasn't taking yours. I called the judges. I said, "Oh, he's not taking mine," even though he told me he was.
Right.
He was good for that. Yeah. Donald knows all the tricks too. Yeah. Well, Freddie, the whole thing stopped, huh?
Freddie logged back in.
Noise stopped. Yeah.
I have no idea.
Jackie was driving a horse with me one day, a trot of mine at Freehold, and I had a feeling the horse could win, but I wasn't sure, you know. And the horse always trained good, but it never made breaks. But used to hit the bike, and I had a very wide special bike made for this horse. Used to whack the back on the left side when he going around the turn. But anyway, I come back. Jackie winds up finishing 4th. So I said to Jackie, I said, "Jackie, what'd you keep pulling out for? You kept coming to." Jackie goes to me. He said, "Man, I'm sorry, but I couldn't hold him. I couldn't."
Well, when he hit the bike, he get grabby.
No, it wasn't the bike. He said, "I couldn't hold him." He said, "I couldn't hold him in." He said, "I had to let him go." He said, "I had to let him go to the outside." I said, "You couldn't, you know." I said, "You know, you're talking about like a guy that drives every day, top driver. I mean, I could hold him. You know, I had a couple of days or something. I couldn't drive."
You
but
imagine,
anyway,
you imagine today where the handholds are?
Yeah. Well, these guys don't have to even hold these horses. I mean, really.
No, they might as well not even have handholds.
Yeah, right.
They have them ahead of the buckle, some of them. Huh?
Yep.
Yeah, they do. Yeah. Above the buckle.
Out of control.
You know what?
That's a
You know, I want to
Dexter
ask you. I wanted to ask Donnie, and I wanted to ask everybody. What to you makes someone an outstanding driver? Because you know anybody could steer a horse around the racetrack, but timing has a lot to do with it, I think, and you know the track.
I think it's a lot of things. Like, you know, understand how racing goes. You know, like where you should be and when and where. Getting along, getting along with all different type of horses, and how quick, if you're a catch driver, how quick you can realize what they respond to and what they don't. I think it's a natural ability, you know. Yeah. How quick you can sense it, like you tap them and the horse like backs up on you. You're like, "Oh, I don't want to do that again." or they try to kick you out. You know, if you tap them on the side, they want to hunch up at you. You realize real quick like what they respond to and what they don't like, and you try not to do that.
Well, hang on though, and I'll include you in this. You were good right away, right?
Me, yeah, I was, but I got better, you know, from
Well,
experience.
no, what I'm saying, but it seems most of them, they'll say, I've heard that about you, or Jackie Moe, they say he was good when he was young. So, you know, there's a God-given talent there, I think.
Yeah, and your love of the horses and competing. I mean, let's face it, just like with the horses, if they don't like what they're doing, they're not going to be good. And it's just like here. I mean, you got to really enjoy being outside. You got to enjoy working with the horses, getting sweat and dirt thrown on you sometimes. You know, maybe even the horse having to have a bowel movement. You know what I mean? Like you gotta really love what you're doing. You know, a shoe hits you. You know,
a few podcasts back, I come up with the five things that a driver has to be a good driver and stay at it. Now, I want to ask this question because Greg just said this. You have to have talent, but there's a lot of guys I know that have talent that have no guts.
That's
the old timers would say fear of the wheels, Larry.
Well, I don't know what they said, but
that's what they used to call that.
There's a lot of talented guys out there that have sense of pace, that have common sense, that have everything you need to be a good driver. But if you're missing guts, you might as well just go get a job selling cars or something. That's what I believe anyway.
That's very true.
All of these kids that are out there now and everybody on this screen right here, when you're in a horse race, especially back then, in the 50s, 60s, 70s, and sometime before they come up with plastic hobble hangers and plastic hobbles, and you're going out there in the middle of the winter time with leather hobble straps and all of this, going into that first turn at Yonkers with bad equipment, going 30, 40, 30, 35 miles an hour into that first turn, wheels rubbing inches apart. You gotta have guts. You gotta have guts.
I think if you asked guys who knew, take like the Dancer family, and I consider myself, you know, somewhat of an historian, have an objective opinion. Okay, in the day they said, you know, Stanley was, you know, down the road running high and stuff like that. But as the generations went on, the man that we're talking to, in my opinion, my humble opinion, in his prime was better than any of them in their prime. I believe that.
You're going to make me blush. You're making me blush over here.
No. But you know, listen, I would tell you if I didn't think, I don't say if I don't, and I just thought of it now, it's true. Oh yeah,
it's 100% true. 100%.
Okay, because Stanley, keep going the lead and whip and the whip. Okay, yeah. Vernon was, you know, good too. But with respect, and he did a lot for racing, but probably who didn't have the will or the courage, would you say would be Ronnie maybe? Or maybe he was overwhelmed by his father. Donald, is that why he didn't, you know, get good like you were, say?
Yeah, well, he started out a different way. I mean, he was my my model that I didn't want to follow. Not in criticizing him, but when he started out, he decided to get into the business late compared to me. I mean, he was in the Army, and then he was in the Army, and then he was get furloughed, and then he would work with the horses, and he spent like one summer with Del Cameron, and then from there, he didn't know what he wanted to do. And he decided he wanted to be in the horse business. So then no criticism of my Uncle Stanley, but he said, okay. And he put him right going, training and starting to drive, get his license. He got him his license and he didn't have the experience. Nothing against him.
Donald, didn't he get hurt by a horse too? He got nailed in the stall with one?
Well, yeah, but that was later on. That was later on.
Yeah.
That was
And then that was sort of the end after that.
yeah, he hurt
He
his,
sort of backed out.
I mean,
he
I would
punctured
say
his intestine.
if we looked back,
Mm-hmm.
and again, I give you a compliment, but it's true. If you looked at how when you started out and all the others started out, you were probably better than them. Then you were the next generation of talent. Did you have a son?
No, I have three daughters.
Okay, so
Three daughters.
so we couldn't say, but the next generation look like of yours that want to drive. Well, actually, they could, as trade says, maybe if they get a sex change, right? Trade?
Yeah.
Let me answer Eric's question here. He says John Campbell had a clock in his head. That's true, but so did every other guy that races horses for a while. In other words, all the harness drivers that you know of that've been around, everyone that makes it to the level, they all have clocks. Everyone can go to the quarter, and if you tell them go a mile in 2:20, the most they'll be off is a second. Either way, it just becomes just like when you're driving a car on the turnpike. If you're going 50 or 60 or 70 miles an hour, all the top guys, they have all the attributes that I mentioned before, and one of them is talent, the other one is gut, the other one is that's one of the things that you just develop. I mean, after a while, I remember when I first went to Yonkers, even out in Buffalo, everybody carried a stopwatch. You go
That's
and
right.
I don't know of one driver in the last 20 years that ever went in a race and carried a stopwatch.
Mike LaChance in qualifiers.
What's that?
Okay, Mike LaChance carried a watch in qualifiers.
Mm-hmm.
One of the only ones.
Yep.
Even qualifiers, they don't carry them either. Remember, but Mike did. Baby races for sure. I shouldn't say general qualifier. Baby races for sure. Mike did. Yeah.
But that's where it changed.
What's that?
That's where it changed. I mean, if you left your stopwatch laying on the bench,
yeah,
it was stolen.
Yeah.
Okay, or your locker. If you left your locker open and you left the watch there, it was stolen.
Yeah.
Nowadays, you could leave it there. Nobody's taking it because they don't know how to read it anyway.
No.
I'm telling you the truth. You ain't got to worry about them stealing them because they don't know how to read them. So they're like, I don't know.
One thing though, I do agree with though. I don't think you need them in the race. It's just one more thing to think about. I think, yeah. You might if you had your own or something that was coming back, but I don't think
there's a special reason. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Right.
There was a special reason.
It's not that type of game anymore anyway. And, they go so fast, we can't even say that they're wrong.
Well, these guys racing nowadays need a sundial. They're looking at the universe when they're driving. I mean, I don't understand. I mean, I used to look between the legs of some of the horses, but I remember you looking over the top of the horses. These guys, I don't know how they can see where they're going.
No, I don't think they do. I don't think they can.
Notice that, Donnie, they're not leaning quite as bad now. Have you noticed that? Not as bad.
The one thing I noticed about that leaning back stuff, is say the guy's doing it on the front end, but when he gets collared and the horse starts to go by him and he's done,
he comes up.
Yeah,
he's not leaning back so far anymore.
No,
he seems to sit up now. And so they see that it wasn't working for him. Wasn't enough to win the race. And all of a sudden they concede, and they're like, "Wow, I guess that didn't help me."
Well, like Tim Tetrick really started, but remember he has. I know he got one hip replaced, but I only got the second one. And I watched; he was very comfortable like that. I think, but then I think Corral kind of got after them about the leaning that they'll find them because it was spreading the fields out too much. Huh?
That's another factor.
Yeah, they are right about the old timers with the handholds way up. Then they used to have to reach at the horse to persuade them. Where now at least you're there and you don't have to be. And that I thought the good idea is where they would, you'd start with your fingers up by the buckles And then as you get into the race, they'd slide back. And by the end of it, you were into the back of the handholds. But you always had the handholds, huh?
Mike Gagliotti, 30 years before these guys were leaning back, that's how he drove. And he got a lot of fines, especially at freehold, for sitting back like that. They give him a fine for not having control of a horse or whatever it was. But Donnie, you got to remember this, that Mike used to drive that way, just sitting back. Everybody else was sitting straight up, and Mike, that was the natural way of driving. And he got a lot of fines and they never leaned back like these kids today. Just a little bit.
So Johnny, wouldn't you say in your day you leaned back a little?
Not really, no.
I kind of thought you did because with the left hand too, you know.
No, I tried.
Maybe you got the handholds set.
Has the handholds 6 inches in the difference, huh?
Yeah, if anything, Stanley actually set forward some. Okay.
Yeah, he did.
And there was, I don't think anybody, we certainly can't say any more successful than he was, but he would actually sit forward some, and they believed that was aerodynamic because they sat closer to the horse. Okay.
Yeah.
And you didn't certainly want to sit above the horse's hips because then the air is hitting your upper body, and that what they thought would slow you down. So the trick was, to try to have the right size bike with the right size wheels, and then sit where you could just see over the hips of the horse, where you could see from side to side and see over the horse. And then they throw all that away, and then they're leaning way back. And like I said, I know they're having trouble seeing. There's no question about it.
Yeah.
Now today they don't even have to move the handholds from the jog cart to the bike.
That's right.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous.
Where before you have to move them up at least 4 or 5 feet.
But the difference is also is people used to try to rate the horse on the front end and give him a good breather. And then if they were doing that and a guy had his handholds back that far, he'd have to pull out and go, like Trey's saying, what Jack had to do. He couldn't hold the horse. You'd have to come out and go. Then if you come out and go, you went with the guy, or you let him go, one or the other.
Right.
That's the way it was. But now they just keep rolling. They just keep rolling the horses. Nobody's looking really to back it up. Yeah.
My father used to say down when they train the colts down now, right? Mm-hmm. Let's say they were going to go a mile and 15. They go over the half at 10 to mile 15. My old man said, I don't know why you're still doing that, because now they go the first half faster than the last half.
Yeah, right.
And they do, right?
Yeah, for sure.
But in the day you're talking about, no, it was always the first half. The
last quarter was always the best.
The last guy got the lead easy. He shut it right down.
Yeah. Right. You give him a breather. But now you'll hear some of these guys talk, some of the drivers, they're happy to give them a little breather for a 16th during the race.
Yeah.
An eighth of a mile at the most. But back, when we were racing, heck, if you could steal the race at the half, try to get the half cheap, and then they couldn't beat you from there, you did it.
Right.
You did it. You didn't worry about the guys behind you. You know what I mean? You're trying to win the race.
Angelique, she said hello to everyone.
Yeah.
You're trying to win the race. And then that was the advantage of being able to know the rate of pace. You know that he's starting to back it up or he's not going that much. And then you came out and tried him. But when you try them, they might go with you. But nowadays, you don't even see people parking one another. I mean, come on.
No, that's true.
No. You see them letting each other.
Well, yeah. We talked
they
about
don't park
that last
one
week.
another.
Remember there.
Come on.
Yeah, no.
I mean,
the old time, but Donnie, in the day, if Stanley Dancer and Billy Hout were in the same race, they'd probably give each other holes.
They didn't try to hurt one another, but if they knew one of them was driving a front running horse and he goes to the top and you have trouble holding that horse, they don't even try you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He didn't even try you because they knew he's going to have he's going to have to park you. You knew that.
Right.
You knew that ahead of time,
Yeah.
One time my dad was driving a horse and he was having trouble holding him. They started to back it up a little bit. And my dad came out with him. And when he came out, he'd go about a quarter of a mile and then he'd stop. And after the race was over, George Schulte, he was giving my dad hell when they went in to wash their faces. He said, why you pull that horse? Why'd you come out with him? And then mess me up in the race, right? And my dad says, I got trouble holding that horse. Well, you should do something, to hold that horse, whatever. And then my dad said, I'll tell you what I'll do with you, George. I'll put you down to drive him next week. And then you sit him in. You sit him in and don't pull him out. I'll put you down to drive him. And then Georgie never said another word. He said that was the end of that.
A
lot of those ones
you can't.
that
You're not always able.
Or hot.
You're not always able to do what you want to do. You do what you're able to do.
I want to say this, Donnie.
That's a good saying. Couldn't always do what you
wanted to
do.
do.
Again?
Not always being able to do what you want to do. You do what you're able to do.
Yeah. That's right. There you go.
And now let me follow up along with maybe in them lines too.
Ahead,
I always thought I heard a long time ago that the law and the rules not always result in justice. The two different things. And this is a statement I'm going to make now. I watched the race that Greg Peck was in when he got fined, he got suspended, and everything else. Now, based on the rules, he broke them. But justice, in my opinion, if I was a judge, both drivers would get equal fines and suspensions.
I agree with that.
What they got. Yeah. So justice did not work where the rules dominated. They should be justice in both, because I watched that race 15 times.
I hate to talk about conspiracy theory, but somebody obviously told, because Danny Kazmaier and I were friends. Somebody obviously told, give him 2 years at 5,000. Because even Ronnie Burke said to me at the Meadowlands, "Would you lose your cool?" No, I said I got her away, and then she, I got out of boom, 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 got her back trot and didn't break. And then he stopped it again. Dennis Billy, he changed his mind. You're going to leave, and then mine bore in at the half, and the next thing, but it didn't affect anybody. Like Ronnie Burke said, well, they'd have to give you something. Well, what? 10 days. I said, yeah, that's about right. Not 2 years at 5,000.
Yeah.
That's what I mean.
It's listen, at some point, what I'll have to do is open it to a higher court. Like, you can almost make an ACLU situation. It's so egregious. It's not. Well, as Sal DeMaria said, boy, I don't know who, but they're packing it to you, and they are. And I think I know who it is too. I bet money who it is. Donald, I was getting back going. I won my last 3 or something. Driving myself a little bit with the daughters, and I was pretty good at that. And I know who it was. I was winning all the time. Bingo. We'll talk about it sometime. It was I've told you I'd talk about it.
Yeah, I've watched that race many times. Donald's watched it. Trade's watched it. Larry's watched it. Multiple of other people have watched it, and I look at the race and like Miller should have pulled back. Absolutely, you guys were 10 lengths out in front, and you're driving in for he's coming up. It looks like on the passing lane portion there. You're going into the turn. He should have pulled up, and it should have never happened. So anyhow,
no.
But see, it's back to what I
thought. And then when they put Donald, when the lawyers played the hearing, because once this, I could knock you down the track and you would come in and give me a karate chop or whatever, but it doesn't justify. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, but less
when
than
you
2
have
years.
the hearing with the judges, that's where it starts. What's that?
Yeah. You get less than 2 years if we do that.
Anyway, nobody has ever heard of it. And the way it was handled, they said I couldn't appeal, but of course I could. But the funny thing is, when the lawyers went and listened to the hearing, they said, "You're right. It's embarrassing to Danny Kazmaier. It was so bad." But guess what? We go to the appeal, and my lawyer didn't pay back the hearing. And Don Harmon, you probably know Don, who was presiding judge at Chester, before Danny say, he said, "I saw you drive lots, and you were tactically correct, and you weren't dangerous." And this, the whole thing. But all the guy, and I don't know why, Why didn't the lawyer? All he had to do in the hearing is play back, because it's de novo at that point. Doesn't matter. Yeah, and I would have been. That would have been it.
Mhm.
So at some point, like I say, it all kind of stemmed from that, and then I got unhealthy. There's no doubt about it. It was,
Yeah.
I take
And
responsibility.
you had a strong stable at that time, and you had a lot of jealousy playing against you. So those things all
Yeah,
play
we
into
had
it.
Freddie got me an owner would call a horse called Captain's Quarters, and he went up and he won the Metro, and he was second in the North American Cup at 3. So there was one that I was and I had Fast as the Wind. Just 2 of them had just won their qualifiers. But we could talk about it all day. Let's not talk about it. It's so ridiculous. Somebody had something here.
That noise is back again, Freddie. Whatever you did, do it again.
No, Freddie, you didn't tell me what you told me you would have done with Miller. What would you have done?
I would have been in a fist fight. So,
No, you told me you wouldn't have put it right over you would have kept turning left. You would have landed in over that bridge that goes out to the Delaware River.
You know what, Greg? I think you ought to appeal your case in front of Letitia James. You know,
There he goes.
she's sitting in for a gorilla.
Oh, boy.
She
PM
finds
says
some
Greg
$500,000.
got less than you got. You're right, PM. Thank you for saying that. Another question here, Donnie. Did you ever drive with your own bike? Yeah, I know you did because you had your own bike. I was over there. It was blue. Yeah. All the races I've seen you drive, your legs were always perfectly situated in the stirrups. You never looked uncomfortable. What about that? You made sure you were comfortable, right?
Yeah. I see a lot of these people, they take their feet out of the stirrups after the race or even before the race. And I mean, all the horse has to do is stumble. You can't hold him up. If a horse really stumbles and you got your feet out of the stirrups, you got no shot. Absolutely zero.
Well, the other thing is, I know our fathers would not allow it.
Yeah. Well, they're trying to make you safe and protect you,
Well, yeah, but
they know that's dangerous.
Imagine if you or I went in front of the grandstand with one foot out of the stirrups, what our fathers would say. Oh, right?
Yeah, exactly.
You see them all now, they'll go in front of the grandstand with both feet out of their stirrups.
That's what I'm saying. All the horse has to do is stumble, and he's down.
About it, yeah.
And
not
it's
only
like,
that, it looks unprofessional.
And then I had somebody say something to me one time that is so true. He said, it only takes one time for something like that to happen, and you end up in the horse. I don't have to tell you where you end up with the horse. You end up inside of the horse if he goes down like that,
Teach you a lesson, though. Yeah.
You have no control of your horse. You're supposed to have your horse under control at all times.
And now, here's the other thing, too, they do. They all post-parade, go the opposite way, everything on the inside of the track. Going the opposite way. Where in our day, we get a kick in the ass if we weren't on the outside of the track, right? When we weren't training.
Absolutely.
No. And they don't even think of this. What makes me mad, too, they beat up all the inside. I said what they should do is fine them if they go anywhere inside of 5 in the post parade, because like at the Meadowlands, they got lots of room, and then that way when you go behind the gate, half the track is in great shape where all the racing is done anyway. No, they're all on the inside. Or the other thing they do it too, they park them in the infield and they're knocking shoes off in the grass, and you see them doing that? Yeah. Oh, yeah. You see, Chester, they were doing that all the time. They'd say, well, pull the horse down. Well, like O'Donnell said to me, all the races he drove, he never saw anybody in the infield walking one. And they should be fun. Not only it would beat up, they'd knock pylons out going in there, and it was awful.
Yeah.
It's terrible.
Yeah, I got you.
Yeah. It's just that they're not taught the way that we were. Yeah.
But getting back to your race that you had your problem in, for me, watching the number of races I've watched, if you see somebody that drives like that all the time, like say when you came, and then he slowed down, and then he decided to go with you. Okay. And he drives like that all the time. That's one thing. But if you have other races that he drives and he then turns people loose like that in the same scenario that he then takes back and lets them go, takes back and lets them go, then the question is why did he turn around and go with you if he's normally would let
want to make a
somebody
fool
go?
of it.
And that's,
You want to make a
that
fool
the
of it.
rule for that is inconsistent driving or careless driving.
Yeah.
And that's,
Well, not only
to
that,
me,
I let him go leaving, and he hit the quarter and 30 in a piece.
well, that's what I'm
The
saying. And then
average
when you come
quarter
out,
for that class was 29-1.
and then he started
that?
like to let you go, and then he changed his mind. But
Yeah.
that's the problem
Yeah.
that I see in that race right there. That if he's
And
consistent,
then he had the whip. He was raising the whip at me, get up in my face after the race.
Mhm.
They didn't do it. They never even showed the replay.
Yeah.
Replay
If
was
I
never
was
shown.
if I was the judge, and I swear, if I was the judge, this is how I would
Yeah.
rule that. I'd have you both on the phone, and I'd say, tomorrow
Yeah.
morning you come to my office. Greg, you're gonna get a 10-day suspension and a $500 fine for doing what you did, and whoever the other driver was, you're gonna get a $500 fine and a 3-day suspension for
Yeah,
being
right.
an asshole. That's exactly how I would write it. For being an asshole, because that's
Yeah.
what he was, just an asshole.
because when I see people that don't drive consistent, it doesn't have to be, how hard you were trying the race or not trying to race. I'm just talking about driving in general, consistent. You knew certain drivers, they go down the road, and that's the way they're going to drive. They always did. Then you've seen other drivers that always drove from behind. That's the way they drove. That's their style. But when you see somebody go and stop like he did, now if he does that in other races, okay, that's the way he drives. But I bet you won't find other races that he drove like that.
No.
But I'll jump in here. If Tim Tetrick was driving your horse, he would have never pulled that crap.
Right. He'd let him go. It'll let him
Right.
go.
And the thing, or the fact he could feel me behind him into the turn, and it lit up 30 to piece, so he knows he's walking, and then he sees me. I get her outrider, take her back, lose ground. I did not violate the braking rule. Amazingly, got her back trotting, went back in the hole, and then he started. I could not, And the thing is, it was the last race, or no, it was like the 10th. There was 12 races.
Mm-hmm.
You know what? It's not even worth talking about. Sorry. Right. Let's get to something better here, Larry. What are they saying here? No, I could talk about it all day. It's ridiculous.
Actually, the other day on Facebook, I wrote a little thing where the new horses that are bred today are much more sophisticated, and they go easier, and they make less breaks, and they're better gated. I mean, we could see that. You don't have to be a mastermind to see that. But they're easier to drive than the horses we had years ago.
Until they make a break.
Well, but you don't see too many of them make a break.
But when you see them make breaks, they run the whole mile because they can't get them under control.
Oh, yeah, they can't stop.
Well, that's where I got to pat myself in the back, by the way. The other guys had been driving her. They'd have been looking for the starting gate to get her stopped. They would have been. That's exactly what I thought. You think they would have? They should have decorated me with a medal as my father, for getting her back trotting without breaking violating.
It's tough to get them back once they start breaking a break like that. There's no doubt about it.
That early, a 2-year-old filly. Huh.
Yeah.
Well, you could see that she was a little grabby, and when he backed into you, she got more grabby.
Donald,
it
Donald, you'll appreciate this as a judge. Here's what happened, Donald. There was a recall.
Mm-hmm.
You know why? Because a guy, of course, was parked down in the grass. You've been to Chester, right?
Yes.
Of course. So he was parked, where the equipment is, that gate. So across that on the inside. So when Shoe came around with the gate, he couldn't get the horse out on the track. Mm-hmm. So there was a recall.
Right.
You see, there was another factor. Like he should have been. And the irony of that was I said to the judges a week before, and I'm convinced they didn't like me telling them that. I said, this idea of letting them park in the infield is not a good idea. I said, they hold up races, they break pylons, they throw shoes. Why they should be? There's lots of room out there. They should be made to stay. I said, and for the poor track man who's keeping the track great here, it gives him, if they're inside the pylons, that's another lane he has to maintain. I'll tell you what, an old friend of mine had a good line. He said, you know what they should do today? What? He said, put barbed wire inside those pylons. He's about right. Because, Donald, and then they have a problem if there's a placing, it's never consistent. But this idea, imagine letting them park, you can see them. Parking right down there in the infield. And
I got a question. I have a question for Donald.
Yeah.
And this happened to me. I just want your opinion because I understand why the judges made me do what they said, but I also understand as a trainer driver why I wanted to do what the judges didn't want me to do. Here was the story. I just got this horse in. And I made a few changes and everything. I didn't get the equipment card with the horse. I didn't get no equipment with the horse. But I tried him I raced him. I just put an open bridle on him.
Right.
And he seemed all right. And I raced him and he win. He win from behind. And what happened was, but he was like lazy. You had to chase him. You had to chase him to keep up. And you just always had to chase him. You had to keep after him. So the following week, I put a closed bridle on him. So naturally, you got to make equipment change. They didn't want me to make the equipment change because he won. So I said, yeah, but I said, listen, I got to keep after him all the time. Now he's moving up in company, and it's gonna be worse for me. So he says, okay, you want to put a closed bridle on him, but he better win. So I wind up winning the race. But how and then I wanted to go back because he was just too grabby. He was grabby on the gate. I couldn't keep him in the hole and everything else. So now I wanted to go back, and they wouldn't let me. They just wouldn't let me. Now I had to race him again. I had to get him beat, and so I could put the open bridle back on him again. I don't know if it's right that a judge, based on maybe it's based on the rules that you can't change equipment after you win a race. But if you race a horse that you just got and he wins the race, but he was dangerous doing it. And then all of a sudden you take up the hobbles 3-4 inches and you take off you put on a closed bridle. How could the judges call you up and say you made 2 equipment changes with a horse that won? You better win this race or you'll be sitting in my office in the morning. What do you think about that? I understand it, but I think I don't know what I think. But
I'm going to ask a guy who should know because he judges that. Donnie, I thought I saw a little less of that now. That they might call down to you, but they wouldn't say you got to win. Especially with claiming horses like Corey's big guy, you'd want to change his bridle every week, huh? One of those types. What's your feeling on that if they win and they change the equipment?
Well, to protect the trainer and the driver, it's better to leave him like he was. That if that's the way he won, you leave him like that. Then if you lose, you're off the hook. But if he was to take and you were to make those changes and now you lose the race and he went off one of the favorites or something in the race, now you got to explain why you did that. They got to pull you in and you got to go through that 9 yards. You know what I mean? Yeah. And it just makes it easier for everybody. If you just don't make a change, you won with him like that, just leave him like that, race him, fine. If you win again, hey, great. If you lost, then you can make an equipment change. But that's how I raced under those kind of rules.
Okay, now what happens if I win the race? Forget about the open bridle or closed bridle.
Right.
What if I win the race, but he's very, very steppy during the race, but I will win anyway. And he's half single foot and half runner, but he's still staying pace. And you know what I mean? Just as hopping along. And I win. So now I come back the following week and I take the hobbles up 4 or 5 inches. And they won't let me do it because you got to say you're leaving the same. Well, he's moving up in company. I'm going to have to go faster. I had all to do to hold them together now, and you want me to race them. I don't think that's, I know it's probably, what you said is true. It's very true.
Mhm.
But I think I would have, if I was the judge, I would have a discussion with me and say, why you want to do this? And not, you know.
I understand what you're saying. That is such a drastic amount, is to take the hobbles up that much. Like if you took them up maybe an inch, he'd let it slide. But if you're,
I exaggerated.
Yeah, you exaggerated. You didn't take him in 5 inches or 4.
No.
So the other thing is the other option you have is take the horse and race him somewhere else and then bring him back, you know. And I know you don't want to do that either, you know, and I wouldn't want to either. But that's a way around that whole situation. But you know how it was in New York. I mean, come on. You know, you're putting your head right on the chopping block. If things don't go right, you know, they're on you. They're beaten favorite. How did you lose? What happened? You know, then they call you in. They want to have a talk with you. And then
how about Vinny Guillermo?
And not only that, are you dealing with, and say you get through all that is okay. And now the next meet is coming up. All of a sudden, you don't get stalls. All of a sudden, they don't let you race there. Yeah. And you're like, why? And then they don't want to tell you. They don't give you a reason. It's in our best interest.
You know what I would have loved to tell that judge? Come on. I would have loved to say, if my name was Stanley Dancer, would the same thing apply?
Well, I think what would have happened if it was my uncle or us, I think 2 things would have happened. If we were so insistent upon that, you know, making a change, we would have had to take the horse someplace else. The next thing is, if we made a change, we're taking a big chance. We're putting ourselves in jeopardy, Larry. So we wouldn't have done that. I'm telling you now. I mean, I had the papers given back to me on a horse that I lost with at Roosevelt, finishing second. I brought him to Yonkers like 5 weeks later and raced him. And now I win with the horse, but I was driving him in the stretch. I got after him. I had to win the race. Carmine came next to me. We're head and head. And I reached up and I tagged him a couple of times and I win. The next night I came to the track. As I was going into the paddock, I had a gentleman from the racing commission come and get me and take me up to the judges stand. And I'm like, what's up? And he wouldn't tell me. He says, no, they just want to talk to you. So I go up there and guess what they're showing me? They're showing me the race at Roosevelt like 4 weeks before or 5. And then they're comparing it to this race. And he says to me, why didn't you use the whip that much in that race, but you're using it here in this race? And I said, because I got called in that race when I lost at Roosevelt. Yeah. And I said, because I wasn't hitting them enough. So I said, my father told me, if you ever get that close again, it was one of his horses. If you ever get that close again, he said, don't take a chance, get after him. So that's what I did. And you know what the judge's answer was to me? Why didn't you tell us? Why didn't you let us know that you were going to use the whip more?
Are you kidding me? Really? He said that?
That's just what he said to me. Don't you think you should have let us know?
No, it goes back to what you said earlier. No, it's consistency is what you're looking for.
Yeah, right? Exactly.
Yeah, well, like you say, like in my case or whatever, no, that should never have. And it looks so bad not showing the replay, anything. No, there's just, you know, but what we have now, though, trade will appreciate this. I would say we live in a world where what they do is if they decide to get you on something, I mean, they throw the book at you, like me. So it's so hard to get out Because that's like the racing commissioner said to me. Well, yeah, but just because they gave the 2 years, the 5, now you get a lawyer, we get a lawyer. What? Like it was so, poorly handled. It was really, really something.
What a shame.
Well, it was historical too. They said first time anybody was ever summarily suspended in Pennsylvania. But anyway, as I said, we shouldn't even talk about that. But it goes back to what Donald said with the judges. Donald, here's the other problem that you have with the judges. A lot of them are frustrated because they became judges because they couldn't make it on the track.
Yep.
So you made it on the track, so you're not frustrated as a judge. Huh?
I'm not frustrated at all.
That's what I'm saying. You agree with what I'm saying?
Yeah, it was my choice,
Right. But some of them, the only choice they have, they want to be in the business, is to become a judge. And then they're frustrated at guys that are winning.
Yeah.
And they're frustrated because
they won't take it out on the top guys that drive every night. That they won't do. But a guy like me driving a couple times a week, well, that they might make a change in consistency for, Yeah.
And they're frustrated because they wanted to know that you thought you could win. They wanted to know you could win. They wanted to maybe bet you.
How'd you like that one? How'd you like that answer? He said, don't you think you should have told us?
Yeah, right.
Well, okay, there you go. Yeah.
Hey, Tom the Cop come up with a good question, and I'll extend my situation. Tom the Cop says, why don't they say anything if you make a shoeing change? That's an equipment change.
They do.
Now,
they do say that.
They do.
They do. Yeah.
They do.
All right. Now what happens?
Yeah, they'll say
what
steel,
happens?
aluminum, and
Okay. So what happens now? I just look for the race. There's a race I showed on here. In fact, it was the last race I ever drove at the Meadowlands. It was a trotter called Search Mission. I have the race someplace. I can't find it. He's hippity hopping around the turns. This was at the Meadowlands. Even the announcer says, he says, "Oh, he's gone. No, he's not gone. He's gone. He's not." Okay. Now, after that race, I think I retired the horse. He won. That was my last win. My last drive was the last win. So what if I was, because of that race, what if I come back the next week and I change the shoes, in all the front shoes and the back shoes. So, and I trained him and he was real good and he no more hipping and hopping. And I go to the judges, the same thing, because it's a shoe change. And he says, you won last week. You can't make this change.
Right.
And then the same thing. You're moving up in company. I'm not going to be able to hold him again. I wish I had that race. I'd show you. You see what I mean? But that's why I don't know. That's why I would say, if I was a judge, I would call you in. Why are you making this change? And if it's something like I just said, you seen the race. You seen him hippity hopping around the turn. It wasn't a hop bad enough where it was a break. He was still he was running behind and trotting up front. That's what he was doing. He hit the straightaway and he perfectly gated. And I would say to why are you doing this? And just leave it at that. Just leave it at that. It's a decision the trainer made to make the horse better. And what got me mad today, in fact, I should put these things up because I save them. There was a judge, and it was on Facebook today, and I copied it, and I was going to put it up. It was I forgot the judge's name. It was in 1974 or 5, something like that. And he says, he was interviewed, and he says, my job as a judge is to protect the public. Well, I have a bit of an issue with that too, because I think the first thing that you should be protecting is the horses and the people driving and training them, and let them do their job, and the customers, in my opinion, should come second or third. But
but unfortunately, Larry, what you have at Donald, do you agree with this? Is that the mandate of a judge or of a racing commissioner, supposedly the first priority is protecting the public, correct?
Correct.
Yeah. That's the thing. Yeah.
Well, somebody said, I think, well, look, the people who made them rules are the same people that took 30,000 people a night to maybe 300 people a night.
Yeah, maybe. But listen,
Well,
I never had to tell the judges I made plenty of shoe changes because I always had
yeah, you do
trotters.
now though, Trade. You do now.
And who's gonna know? How are they gonna tell?
When they come around with the equipment, you better tell them. Because now a lot of them, you're right, they don't. It depends on the equipment person. But I can tell you, like Peggy, down at Chester, for instance, she'll ask you or check or whatever. Oh yeah, it's this. I changed the rule too. Went up to claim a horse one time. Guy wanted to claim he was Michael's Marvel was his name. He was by Jenna's Beach Boy. And the guy said, if he doesn't make it, if we don't make it with him on the track, he could be, somebody told me he could be a stud down under. So, yeah. He said, are you sure it's a stud? I said, are you sure it's a stud? He said, it says on the program. It says on his registration certificate. Yeah, okay, all right. So I went to the paddock at Chubby that worked for me, Vincent Stallworth. He was looking after him. I said, do you mind if I look under that horse? I called the guy. We're turning him down. Why? He's a gelding. Now, I noticed ever since then, they're always asking you, is he still a stud? I've gotten that lots of times now. They're watching that now. Again, that went back to, it depended on, how serious the equipment person was. But now they have to be a little, that's been my experience. They actually check on that now. The same with the shoeing changes. Now, the other thing, though, that's a bit confusing. Somebody asked about shoes earlier. If they pull the shoes and they go out and win, right? Well, when you think about it, if we got to use the same bridle, they should say we got to race next week barefoot too. And that would make them think, because I looked at the studies on pulling the shoes. Over thousands of horses in France and Scandinavia. A third go better, a third go the same, and a third make breaks. So that's the chance you're taking, because I see an awful lot of them where they pull the shoes and they're on the run. And you ask them, well, what happened? Oh, they blame it on the driver. So I can remember I got Sears to drive on one, and he was even money. And I got him to stay. He won within the Arsenal for Red Harrison. It was elimination of the Meadowlands pace. So I get him to stay to drive this one. All right. So he said he runs back. It's on the sulky. He's got the rail at even money. He looks down. He said, oh, he told me that money. They didn't have to pull the shoes off him. And there he was even money. He was on the run. They blamed Sears. Said, can't he drive a horse with no shoes? That's what they said.
Let me tell you another story. Let me tell you another story. And this happened to me, and it happened right around 1974, 75 at Monticello Raceway. Bobby Donofrio comes to me, and he says, I have this trotter, it's very fast, but I can't keep him trotting. So I fooled with him for 4 or 5 days, and I got him really good. And he had made a break the week before, then he qualified the week before. He kept qualifying, making breaks. So anyway, I straightened him out. So now, at that time, I was betting with Nicky Barnes. That was, I am not going to go into that story, but we were betting 5,000 a position, and I was betting 25. I get half of that. Nicky Barnes was betting with Fat Tony Salerno from the Genovese crew. And that lasted about 3-4 months till they all got pinched. So now I call him up. I call him up in the morning, and I told him, bet this horse. I'm driving him, and I tell him all the information. So he puts the bet in. He says, okay, no problem. Now I go to round robin, and I go get the program. I'm having lunch. And I look at the program, and it has Bobby Donofrio down the drive. And I says, oh, my God. I says, I go to Bobby, And I says, Bobby, I says, they got you down to drive. And he says, well, I put myself down. I forgot to make the driver change and everything else. So I go into the judges and I says, listen, I says, I forgot what I told them. Anyway, they would make the driver change. They would make the driver change. And the windup was Bobby won with the horse anyway, so I cashed the bet. But here's the moral. Here's what why I told the story. If they were gonna do what we were talking about doing, change. You got to leave the same equipment on. Why don't the same driver have to drive the horse that he won with the week before? That happens. That happens. Especially it happens. Especially if you have. The sheet comes out and Campbell's on 5 horses, including the one he won with last week, and he picks a different horse. Why don't the judges call up and say, nope, you got to drive the horse you won with last week? Well, we got to protect the public. It's not fair to the public that Joe Schmo is driving instead of John Campbell.
Makes sense.
Why don't they do that? They don't do that.
Makes sense to me.
What'd you
What do you
say?
think, Freddie?
Yeah, unless you're training the horse.
I don't know.
If it's a horse out of your own stable, you're required to drive him. That's the way it used to be.
If you're required to leave the same equipment on a horse that won the week before, you should also be required to have the same driver as the week before. But that's
Larry, you can't do. Come on now, you can't do that. There are different tracks all the time now. Can't do that.
no, I know you can't do that. So why don't they just do what I said? If you're going to change the equipment, call the guy in and say, listen, why are you making this change? And if it makes sense, leave the guy alone. Don't say, well, you
They
better
might
win.
even do that now. I'm not Donald. Are you? Do you know that? Like, if they came to you and said, "Would you? What would you say? Would it depend?
Well,
or you just
like
have
I
to say
said,
no.
it's always on a case by case basis with this type of
Yeah.
question. But
Right.
if like you're using the example of John Campbell, if he had his choice of a few horses in the race, and he does not pick your horse, even though he
Right.
won with him last time, there might be another horse in that race that he won with last time too, and maybe he wants to drive that one instead for whatever reason.
Right.
I mean, now it comes down to now you're going to tell John Campbell you have to drive that horse. You know what I mean? Like he has the
you
right.
know from personal experience in your day when you were doing, there was lots of times you'd be down 2 and 3, right? You'd have to make a choice.
So it would be the driver's up to the driver's choice of which one he's going to drive. You know what I mean?
So in other words, the driver, a judge could tell Stanley Dancer, you can't change the equipment because you won with this horse last week. So the driver, in my opinion, the driver change is just as important as equipment to change.
But see,
It's
now
not
he's
practical to mandate it, though.
Yeah, but wait a minute. Now he's not talking about telling the trainer what to do. Now you got to tell the driver, the catch driver, that you have to pick Larry's horse to drive. You know, that's what you're saying. So I mean, that's where the trouble comes in because he's independent. Right, the driver's independent.
That wouldn't even be fair to the public. You could say that the driver would have to drive the horse he thought was third best because he drove him the week before.
But that's what I'm saying. That's where the trouble comes in because the driver is independent. He's a he's a subcontractor. He can drive whichever horse he wants, and he chooses to drive a different horse.
But how is that? Well, I guess it's protecting the public because even on the tout sheets it says big driver change. Forget about this horse. Campbell's off him. So I guess that's all right. And you're right. The driver should have the pick of who he wants to drive. That's his livelihood.
Right.
But
and see, like Freddie's saying, if he trained and drove the horse, that's a different story. But he's just a catch driver. He's employed just to drive that race. You know, drive.
And mostly that's what it is.
Right. That's
today,
where you run into the trouble.
Today, there's very few trainers and drivers. You know,
that's the trouble you run into with that. You know. Yeah. You know,
I never had a problem with equipment changes. You know, If I remember, like I had steady success over at the Meadowlands. Won a race with them, and I threw a Murphy blind on him and I think a bear head pole on the inside or something like that. And I was called in by the judges. Hey, what's going on here? You just won last week, and now you got all these equipment changes here. I said, yeah, well, he's bearing it in a little bit on the line, and I'm trying to straighten him out. Are you going to train my horse for me? He said, no, that's okay, and we ended it there. So,
You're right.
PM has something for me. She said, says, Greg, if a driver is listed on more than one horse, the judges should do a shake. PM, that'd be hard to do too. Donald is right that they're subcontractors, they're freelancers. You know, it'd be like an actor if he was up for 3 different roles that they were going to film at the same time. Well, you couldn't tell him, or if trade was booked on 3 dates. You know,
I'd be able to pick which one I want to do.
What?
I want to pick which one I want to do. You know,
that's right. You'd have.
Yeah, but you also run into the problem where, let's say it's a Burke horse that you're put down on, and you're down on 2 horses on trainers that you don't even know who they are, or they're not they're 2% win trainers. Who horse are you going to take? You're going to take the Burke horse 100%.
absolutely.
Yeah, well, why not?
Right. Yeah.
Why not?
So it has to be
I'll
that
tell you what I always found, Donald.
free to choice, huh?
I tell you what I always found.
Mm-hmm.
That never bothered me if they picked off, because that's what guys were always worried to get the same driver every week all year. I never wanted that, because there's times.
No, I agree.
Whether it's you or John Campbell or Bill O'Donnell or Brian Seas or Dexter Dunn, there's sometimes they'll pick off a horse and another guy, lesser of a guy, will win with the horse.
That's
But
right.
why should a driver have? I'm just playing devil's advocate now. Why should a driver have the right to choose whatever he wants and not even choose the horse he won last week, but the trainer don't have the right to demand that the driver who won with the horse last week, because he got along with him great, and why?
Because here's what happens a lot. I ran.
Maybe he does.
He might have won with him in a 15 claimer and got along with him great. Now the guy steps him up to 20. So what's he supposed to do? And he's got an even money shot on one of Burke's, or a 10-to-1 shot on the one moving up in class. You got to give him you can't mandate that stuff.
But maybe he don't. Maybe he leaves him in the same class. So look, what Donald says is true. You got to take every case into the only thing is, if I was the judge, I would understand the catch driver's motives for getting off that horse, because there's a much better horse than that he was down on too. But I would also call the driver in and the trainer in, or call him on the phone and say, I see that you made 3 equipment changes on this horse I won last week. Can you tell me why? And if it's a good enough reason, if the judge was a horseman that knew what the fuck he was doing, he would probably agree with the trainer.
Mm-hmm.
I could just, now Joe Guarino, we talk about him all the time. He was leading trainers all over the place, How are you going to tell a guy like that you can't make equipment change just because the horse win? He made it. He made that change for a reason. He didn't make it to get the horse beat. He made it for a reason. So that's how I would handle it. But I probably assume that the judges, they have to follow the rules, and the rules, them are the rules. So
I'll give you an example of this. Muscle Hill lost his first race. He was running in. He would be running, walking out the door. So I start out the door, and there he is. I run right back in, and I Brian wanted to put the Murphy blind on the right. No, the left. Anyway, he won, and he never lost again. But I was able to take it off at 3. So, but I did call and ask them. I said, if not, people are betting on him. Even at a late time like that, they said, okay. I would say, Donald, I think I know the answer, is if it was a legitimate reason and the guy calls you, the trainer before the race says, Mr. Dancer, look, the horse won last week, but he was drifting out really bad. So I got to add a Murphy blind to the right side. I think you would be open to that, wouldn't you?
Yes.
Yeah, see, it goes back to what Donald says, Larry, it's a case by case.
Mhm.
All right, now here.
See, that's why when you get asking a question with judges, you might as well ask one. We got
All
the
right, now here's we all know Teddy Wing. We all know that that in the post parade he'll stop back at the paddock and make one change. Then he'll score him down and make another change, scoring him down.
Yeah.
He makes the change every time he drives a horse. Now, what if he's driving a horse that won the week before with a head pole on the inside and Teddy Wing's down the drive and he comes back and he says, "Get this head pole off," and the turns he's locking on it, and he take the head pole off, and the horse gets beat. Is he in trouble?
Well, I think the fair thing to do there would be, Donald, what do you think of this? If it was going to be where you knew there's no way the horse could go that way, he could call you and ask him and be subject to a fine. You might say to him, "Look, you can do it, but it's going to cost you $100 or whatever."
Mm-hmm.
Because a lot of times, Donald, you know this, I say this, all of my horses, they jog on the left line, they post parade on the left line, they do everything until training slow, they're on the left line. When you send them along and hard to horse race, 95% of them run in, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Pretty well. Well, not when you were driving as much because the left hand, as we've said, but as a rule, yeah. So, you know, and with the Ted Wing thing, you couldn't do that today. No, I would say that would be harder to do today than it was years ago, because now, as they say, with the, with some of the rules they have, and we
can go on and on, because what if you got different drivers driving a horse that won the week before? He comes back after the last score, and they're like a minute. You're waiting for the starter to call you, and the driver comes back to the paddock and he says, "Let his head down 4 holes."
Hang on, Larry. We're making a mistake again. Donald, what happens today? If Ted Wing was around today and says, "Add a head pole, take a head pole off," what would happen today?
Well, you probably wouldn't even know, because he does it with minutes to post time.
No, you see the horse going off the track or something. If you were aware of it, Donald, what would you do? Whether it was Ted Wing or anybody.
In that case, unless you could talk to the driver, the judge has got to make the decision.
Right.
Okay. But getting back to what he just said about the head check, I mean, I get a perfect example of that, but Larry mentioned it. I was driving a horse one day at Freehold that I had raced in New York years before. And we're talking now like 2-3 years later. Now he's in a 4 claimer at Freehold. And he used to be like a 20 in New York, a 22 claimer. Now he's in a 4 claimer, and I'm driving him for this guy who hasn't been doing any good. And he put me down to drive, and I go to score the horse down. He's got his head looking at the sky, and he used to go with a low head. So the first thing I did is I pulled him up. I let his head down 6 holes, all the way out in the overcheck. Just let it out. Now, then you didn't have to report it to the judges. You don't have to say, "Well, I'm going to let his head down." I let his head down. He goes on, I win one of them, paid like $50, Yeah. So, I mean, like Larry said, is that a violation of the rules? But at that time, you were just making an equipment change. You were adjusting equipment. To me, I was adjusting equipment.
I can tell you in Toronto, you couldn't do it.
Mm-hmm.
Because they want everything in by like 4 o'clock in the afternoon, which is tough, especially when you have 2-year-olds, like 2-year-old trotters. I go up there with about every kind of bridle, every kind of bit, head poles, because I'm not quite. If you said to me, "What's he going to wear next week?" I'm not quite sure, because they change when they're young.
Yeah.
Anyway, we can talk about that all night. Donald.
Well, what about, listen, what if
case basis?
What if you change your handholds? You have to tell the judge.
Exactly.
Listen, I want to raise the handholds up. You have to judge.
Craig, let me ask you this: what if you change sexes? Do you have to?
Well, of course, you got to tell the judge. You got to tell the judge that, definitely. Yeah.
Yeah.
And you got to call Obama. Call Obama first.
Yeah. So that's what I'm saying.
Check with him. Make sure it's okay with him, and then he'll get back to Mike or Michelle, and they'll decide who killed the chef. I'm still trying to find out who killed the chef.
Yeah.
That's what we want to know, you know.
You
And
could
he was
write another
undocumented.
song about that.
Yeah, he was
That it killed the
undocumented.
sheriff.
If you were the
He-
presiding judge, Trade, would you insist that the announcer made the change that a number 6, the driver has made it?
Absolutely no. I would definitely tell the announcer to make sure the timbre of his voice stayed consistent during the race.
Yeah.
You know, he couldn't raise his and he couldn't lower it. It had to be consistent.
How about this? Another. We can go like this for a week. How about this? A horse wins it and this happened to me. Benny Webster don't show up one night. He calls me up. He says, "Drive my horse at Monticello."
Yeah.
So I says, "All right." So the horse comes out, comes down the ramp, and I go to the horse, and he's got he got one of them single shafts on him.
Yeah.
And I
Oh,
never
yeah.
drove in the single shaft, and I hate it because it was terrible. But I won the race. Now the following week, they barred the single shaft, no more. And I said, "Thank God," because a couple of horses turned around in the post parade. They made it a mess. Now what happens then?
Well, that's when the judge, you got to find the judge. See, that's a case where the driver's got to find the judge.
If I was the trainer of that horse, don't I have the right to say, "Hey, listen, until this horse gets beat, he's riding in a single shaft.
Single shaft, yeah.
I don't want to race until he was hooked up to the single shaft, so you got to let me drive." Now, if they say no, how are they protecting the public? Oh, we can go on with this forever.
Because that's what they
Case
call.
by case basis.
That's what
Larry,
they call
you're going back to when
mitigating.
Moby Dick was a minnow now.
That's what they call mitigating circumstances.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you got shafted. That's all. You got shafted, Larry.
Yeah.
You got single shafted.
And it's not fun.
Oh god.
Funny though, Trade, you know what's going to happen, Trade? You think like
What?
but in New Jersey, let's assume that it's a close race. If the Democrats win, they actually might have to change all the racing commission rules, huh?
Well,
You know,
listen, I think the Republican's going to win. I think Chattarelli's going to win.
Yeah, I told you I media trained him, huh?
Oh, you did?
Yeah, Jack, yeah.
He's good. He's good.
Yeah, nice guy.
I got a good question I have to ask before I forget it. What if two horses are in the dead heat at the wire? Dead heat. They took the picture, but both horses are on a run. Who wins? The third horse?
Yeah, right, Donald. Yeah.
It depends if he's lapped on, how far up ahead.
Yeah, right.
If they didn't they didn't misuse any of the braking rules.
Yeah,
you know,
depending on the, that's right.
If both horses, you know, if they're both driving to the wire and they run right at the wire, you know, then the one that is in front of the other one is the winner.
Before the wire, and one was lapped on, the two of them, they would be set back. They'd be second dead heat, I guess, huh? Yeah.
Correct. If they're lapped on, yeah.
Yeah.
But if they're lapped on, and say they're a couple links in front.
A lot of hypotheticals here, Mister.
Yeah,
now,
it's
Mr.
a hypothetical, and they hit the wire together.
Mr. Rolla, Larry.
Yeah.
I want to ask you a question.
Go ahead.
Well, you tell all these stories, right? And the moral of the story is you won. I want to hear one that you lost, because I can tell you way more that I lost than what I won. You're the only one I know of. Everyone it won. Now, are you embellishing there a little bit, maybe, or you just limit yourself to the winners only?
No, but when you look, I just told a couple of stories. I think I said I won the race. Yeah. That was probably 4 races out of 4,000 starts. So
I know we're teasing, you know that.
Yeah, because I know he's talking about all things that actually happened to him. That's why he's telling us this.
The thing with Donald Frio definitely happened to me.
That's what I mean.
Yeah, that really happened.
Hey, all you're saying happened to you. Come on, I know it did.
Yeah,
I know it did. Because you're speaking with conviction. Okay, I can tell.
Yeah, that's right. Donald, you're media training Larry now. That's right. You're speaking with conviction.
All right, so listen, let's start talking about chicks. Let's start talking about girls. How many times did you win with the girls?
Do you know I just thought of something after that last statement?
But
I had to make a video of this new project I'm working on. So I have it all written down. It's about 7, 8 minute thing. It's about 6, 7 pages. So I put them all, and I stood up all night long, and on this StreamYard thing, you could record a video, and that's what I was doing. I couldn't get past the first sentence without making a mistake, and I just couldn't do it. So then I looked up how much it would cost a professional speaker to do this for me. And it came back $5,000 to $10,000 if he's not a celebrity. If he's a celebrity, it costs anywhere up to $100,000. Had I not did what I did, I would have called Greg and says, "Do me a favor, make this video for me." And it was just reading what you know, and I couldn't do it. But I already did it. In fact, I sent it to. Didn't I send it to you, Freddie? But your computer's broke, so. But I never thought of you. You would have been the perfect guy.
yeah, he would have been.
I'll tell you that, in a way, except not in the horse business. They held my so-called, with humility, public speaking skills against me more than they did for me. There's no doubt about it that it made the jealousy worse, and I don't know why. Because I tried. I did take it seriously. That we had to put on a good show, for the public. And, it goes back to that. We have to put on a professional show, but not everybody. Listen, we can talk here all day. It's changed today. Stuff that we're talking about, feet in the stirrups, handholds properly, rating the miles right, taking care of the horses. That went out with the hula hoop. Today, the trainer today is pretty well a veterinarian. Pretty well.
Absolutely.
Everything they do is they ask the vet. Now, that's the last thing that I do. That's true. But today, the vet, and they say today, a lot of them get $5,000 and $6,000 vet bills, and they're cheap. They might be a $10,000 claimer.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't make sense. Well, Donald, you know that, right?
That's
You
true.
were around, you saw it.
The trainer, a lot of times the vet is running their stable.
That's right. Because they like the fact they can call the owner. It's like when the owner goes to the doctor tells them what to do.
Mm-hmm.
Now I got to get back and trade a little bit more here because
Oh, okay.
Well, no, but we got to draw
That's
it
all
out because I think that you're a hidden gem trade. I would say.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
You really are. So what they don't do is what the entertainment industry does is maybe, I don't know what that would be, is they'd have to, maybe get somebody from the entertainment industry, from the other sports industries, and let them come in cold, not knowing about the horses and the this and that. I wonder, could they do something? Because if you look at the other sports, when I was asking the MMA, I didn't think they had pay-per-view. I thought that went out with, I can remember the first big one was when Jerry Cooney, who did he fight that time? He was the Great White Hope. Who did he fight that time? They were calling the Great. Was it? Did he fight Ali or Fraser or Foreman?
Either Fraser or Ali, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
And that was in those days. You'd go to a hockey rink and they'd have the big screen pay-per-view. The
Right.
MMA is still pay-per-view. Well, that used to be what wrestling is or was. So, wouldn't you look at how you produce things now? It's easier. Maybe we got to get somebody, who's done it with another industry, who has a fresh eye the way looking at it. What do you think of that?
Well, listen, a fresh look at things always works because sometimes people get, they get rancid and they're doing the same thing all the time and they think the same thing is going to be fine. But a lot of times you have to go for innovation. You have to go for something new. You have to try different things. And nobody wants to really be brave and try things. That's the problem, There's a lot of things that can be done.
Yeah. Quickly here, PM. I was with Ted Wing a long time, and his favorite piece of equipment was always, and that should be a roller burr head pole, because Ted Wing was one of my closest friends. If my horse was wearing a plain head pole, I'd always bring a burr with me. It had to be a roller burr. The other thing you needed too was the manure towel with the saran wrap. That was another one. I knew him like a book, but what you had to do, like it was pretty simple things, that most guys, like he'd say, they just didn't know to go around, Yonkers, or in the day you'd probably need a roller burr and a Murphy blind on the left going back, because the guy would be telling you how he runs in it, and because they'd be used to training him, and they'd have the head pole on the wrong side, so he'd know right away, what that had to be. Huh?
But you know what I told Ted Wing once, and this is another race I won.
PM is right. Yeah, Jerry Cooney fought Larry Holmes.
Good, Larry. Good.
Ted Wing, he's right what he says about a burr head pole, and he loved
A roller burr.
He loved the
Where the burr rolls around.
Roller burr.
The roller burr or a burr head pole worked better on a double ring, because some horses on the regular ring, they'll lock right on it.
It's too close. Yeah.
Yeah, but I've had some of them put it on
more
tight.
effective when it bounces off their neck, a burr.
Right. Right.
Yeah, but two things I've had, Larry. Some of them do like it, or what you do is up by the water hook tape. So the pole, instead of going like that, it's kind of like that.
Right.
Yeah, you can do that too, huh?
Yeah.
But most of them today, that I have anyway, they'd all have and I was never much for two head poles, and I always thought a line pole, that was really only for the outside. Not it didn't work well on the left side. I've seen a lot of horses like that. What else do we have? Jerry Cooney fought Larry Holmes. Yeah, that was right. Ted Wing told me the best horseman to ever touch a horse was Donnie Richards. Well, he loved Donnie Richards in Maine. That's for sure. He really, really does. And Donnie's a friend of mine as well. But I would say about this, with respect, you'd have to. That's an opinion thing too. That we all knew somebody that we thought, but they'd have to show it. Like anything. Somebody got a barking dog.
Yeah, that's one of my poodles.
Oh, how many you got, Trey?
2.
Oh, really?
2. Yeah, one is
Boys
14.
or girls?
One is a boy and girl. One is a 14-year-old boy, Elvis, and Priscilla is an 8-year-old female.
Elvis and Priscilla Presley, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that. Is Elvis gelded?
Yes, Elvis is
Yeah.
gelded. Yeah. I feel bad for him.
Yeah.
He's such a
Somebody
good
say
guy.
shut the dog up. We already have. We're getting close to the end here.
Why?
We
It's
said
only been
11 o'clock, we're done.
After an hour, it's been 3 hours.
Well, we said that, but I'll say no. We got 13 minutes left. So if anybody wants to ask questions about what we're talking, because you've been doing a good job doing that tonight. Nobody's really been. Everybody's been great tonight. I must say, I went into today saying, "Oh, how?"
we got to talk about Freddie's dad. Billy Hudson was a great driver too. At the racetrack, I remember watching him a lot of times.
Well, everybody that was around says that, and they say not only that, he was one of the originals. Because I said to a friend of mine,
Absolutely.
"Who brought Freddie Hudson out?" Because they say that down about the old timers, so and so. If they came along, they'd always say, "Well, who brought him out?" Huh?
Right.
Stanley Dancer brought him out, or like Clint Warrington Jr. would say. By the way, Donald, I talked to Clint a couple of years ago because Stanley loved Clint. Huh?
Yes.
But Clint was like Stanley. If he didn't like, oh yeah.
You're talking about
what's that?
You're talking about junior or senior?
Junior.
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 Yeah.
Didn't Stanley love him?
Yeah, he gave him some big opportunities.
Oh yeah, but he quit.
Yeah, well, what happened? There was a story to that too,
I thought here's what I heard. It was that was the year that Stanley decided he was going to use the catch drivers. So quit. But he was
Clint Sr. was working there too, and and his son.
Okay.
And there was a problem over something happened with a groom there.
Okay.
And then there wasn't conflicting stories that was given. And then so Stanley let him go. So that's what I know about that. Mm-hmm. Okay. And I guess he went to Canada, didn't he, Junior?
Many years later. Yeah, right. He's out around Vancouver now, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Or he might have moved because they stopped. Yeah, he must have moved. They stopped racing. But he met a woman who was from Western Canada, which is rare. It's like Jackie Moe moved to Canada. It's usually the other way around. Us Canadians move here, huh?
Right.
New land of opportunity, that's for sure.
Right.
Well, he was second right there. He was second right there.
Second.
It's a cute little song. That was a good.
That is a good song.
Yeah, but that's what I understand happened there. But he was given some great opportunities. Stanley put him up on some horses.
What about you, Donald? Did you drive for Stanley?
Oh, yes.
Okay, I didn't know.
Matter of fact, when I was 14, I wanted to drive something in the amateur trot at Goshen, and we didn't have anything. And my dad said something to Stanley, and he put a horse in there, and I drove him. I was 14 years old, and I won both heats of the amateur trot at Goshen, the Thomas W. Murphy amateur trot. And I was beating guys 60 years old then, you know. So that was quite a thrill. That was
back in those days. They used to think you had to be 50 or 60 to be experienced to drive on, right? They did.
Yeah.
It got to be. That's what Ted Wing says too. When Peter Houghton came along, he was driving on the Grand Circuit against older men, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they were all old, you know. So you don't know what would have happened. Huh?
Yeah. And then later, when I got my P license, Stanley put me on horses. Put me on a mare in the open pace at Liberty Bell, Born Rich, and I won a few races with her. And then when I went to New York, he put me on horses at Yonkers I was winning with, and I was very fortunate. You know, like I
didn't
said.
know that's good. I didn't know.
Yeah, he gave me the opportunity.
I got a song. It's not what you know, it's who you know.
There you go.
And it's about Jesus, Elvis, Sinatra, and Donald Trump.
Well, would you give us a verse of that, please?
Yeah.
Come on.
He goes, okay, the chorus is, it's not what you know, it's who you know. It's not what you know, it's who you know. I'll send you the CD.
No, we want to hear it on here. So where do all these names come in?
Hear the debut.
It opens up like this. It goes, I met an old timer in the park. We sat and talked from dusk till dark, from dawn till dark. I did this song like about 5-6 years ago. It has never been released, but it's going to be released. We sat and talked from dawn till dark. He said, you're young now, son, but you'll learn as you grow. It's not what you know, it's who you know. And man, that ain't no bullshit. And it's no doubt about it, you know. It's, how we all get our, you know, I mean, we all get lucky. We all get in the right place at the right time. I mean, Freddie has his dad, you know, you had whatever connections you had, Greg, you got, Larry had his connections, and so did Donnie have his connections. We all have our connections. We lock into something.
Yeah.
I'll let you hear this. You're going to like this. I'll send this to you.
Yeah.
Well, I would like you to sing a verse. You know that makes the show. You know. Yeah. Like I could go for a little more of a version of the undocumented. That's right. You could do a little more of that one.
Undocumented, that's what you are. Undocumented means you behind the bar. You know.
There'd be a lot of people mad at us over this now, but we listen. We're not going to be, you know, politically correct all the time. Please, no, that's ridiculous. And you know, why can't you could love your brother and hate his politics? What the heck is the difference? You know, people.
Yeah, that's true.
I wonder what is this show rated anyway?
Yeah,
it's rated R. It's rated R.
Where is it on the Nielsen ratings?
It's rated R.
I'll tell you what, I'm thrilled I thought, what are we gonna do? This show is. I said to Freddie, I might as well take the night off. And then I called Freddie, and then Donald pops out. I said, "Well, I'm all set here then."
Great. Yeah.
Talk about a catch. Talk about a catch driver. I had 2 fresh mounts. I had Trade and Donnie coming on.
Donnie was a
I can make a
fine.
show out of this for Larry now, and a good one. Yeah. Funny, huh?
Well, I did invite Greg. I did invite our friend Riyadh to come on.
Yeah.
Donald's heard all about him.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Donald, have you had any? Well, that would be confidential. Had any meetings with him?
Listen, I got to put the picture of my dog up so Trade can see it.
Let me see. Let me see, Don.
Oh God.
Oh wow. Yeah.
That's a Labradoodle.
A Labradoodle. Yeah. Almost looks like my poodle. Yeah.
There you go.
Beautiful, Larry. Yeah.
He's raised on my lap because when I had my knees done, so
Yeah.
I was in the chair a lot, and he was raised when he's a little puppy. That was 4 years ago. He was raised on my lap. He's so attached to me now. He's right over here. He's no matter where I go, he has to go.
That's a great looking dog. You want to send me that picture, Larry? I'm doing a new song called, and I want pictures of. Well, I got Freddie already. I need a picture of.
You said you needed pictures of the dog without people. I don't have one.
No. I want you and the dog together.
Oh, I'll send you that picture.
Yeah, the one I see right there. Yeah.
All right, I'll send it to you.
Okay, PM Donnie, I sent a video of this to Larry where you had freehold today. The thoroughbred raced and beat the standardbred by a head with Cat Manzi.
Mhm.
Were you there that day?
I seen the video.
I've seen the video.
I don't think I was there. No,
I've seen
I
the
don't
video.
think so. I thought you were going to tell me that when the horse ran up the booth, the back of
Were
the
you there
booth.
that day?
I was there that day.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
What happened?
I was in that race.
How do you end up going up the hill?
Me and Hervé was scoring down near each other,
Yeah.
and we seen the horse reared up. I think it was Silverman was driving the horse.
Yeah.
And the horse reared up and dumped him out and took
And
off.
went up the steps.
Yeah, so he took off. The horse took off, and then we're jogging around. You know, we know there's going to be a scratch and a delay. And next thing you know, we see the horse make a left-hand turn, you know, like to go to the ramp, but the ramp is closed, of course, the gate. And then he goes up the steps.
How'd they get him off now? How'd they get him in?
They backed him down, but luckily that the weight of it and the horse didn't like carry on and fall down, go over the ramp, go over the.
Wow.
He would have fell onto Route 9. Route 9 is right there north, you know.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah,
Right on the
north.
highway.
that would have
The
been
highway's right
northbound.
underneath.
The horse would have been going northbound on Route 9.
Yeah.
That was unbelievable. And he was right there in the window, like they were reaching for it through the window, his head. And I'm like, wow, man, that's crazy.
Yeah, but I heard Silverman got fined because of the equipment change. You know.
Yeah, right.
Anyway, yeah.
He was adjusting his handholds. I don't know. But that was the damnedest thing I saw. Wow.
That's funny.
That's one of them. But one thing about this business, like you say in that song, you the older you get, like my father used to say, either I've seen it happen or I've heard it happen to somebody else.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's what I used to
I'm
tell
gonna
him.
send all you guys a copy of this song. You're gonna hear, you're gonna like it because it's a historical song. It tells of how Elvis would never have gotten on the Ed Sullivan Show without Colonel Tom Parker,
Oh, yeah.
and Sinatra would have never gotten the part in
Here to Eternity.
From Here to Eternity if it wasn't for Ava Gardner.
Wow.
You'll hear this in the song.
Mm-hmm.
And Jesus wouldn't have been nothing without his Father, the Almighty God.
Be careful what you're saying there now. That's not Can we censor that somehow? Yeah. When this plays back, can we edit God and Jesus out of this? Because we'll be in a lot of trouble.
Why? You're not an Catholic here, are we?
Oh, no. I know. Hey, I said I don't care what you believe in. That's up to you. Yeah, but you shouldn't have to. Well, I can't say it.
Hey, you don't care what they believe in as long as they believe you.
That's right.
That's a good one.
Larry.
That's right, Don.
Larry, you got to wrap it up. Joe Garino, we never heard from Joe tonight. I'll probably call him.
Yeah, he put something up. He was the one that said you could use pewter at Rockingham when he was there.
Did he say that? I missed it.
Yeah, you missed it.
Yeah, they tried.
Well, listen, it was a fun show, though. It was fun. Guys.
Yeah.
Thank you for
It
inviting
was
me.
excellent. You know what? I'm very happy with it. Yeah. But you guys coming on at the last minute, we really appreciate both Trade and Donald, because it just happened the subject matter, fell into place with you guys too.
It's always a pleasure. I was apologizing for last week.
It's funny, Donnie, when I look at you, I never thought of that till tonight. It wasn't like I went into the show. That's the great thing with the show. Wait now. Of all the generations, he would have been the best driver, which is true. People don't think it.
Fortunately, I won the most races of any of the dancers.
Well, but again,
so that I can hang my hat on.
Yeah, I get.
But nobody did as great as Stanley did. I mean, he was.
Well,
he was
but we're talking driving only.
You know what I mean?
We're not debating anything else. He managed his life and his money better than everybody. We know that.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Okay, but we're just talking driving. I had to give credit where credit.
I don't think there's a driver trainer in the history of our sport that had more successful stallions than Stanley.
Exactly. 3 Triple Crown winners, and 2 of them he owned parts of.
And Helton never had a stallion. Best.
Yeah.
My uncle used to say maybe Hickory Pride. He wasn't considered great, but he was probably the best one.
Yeah. But
I never met Stanley.
Set the standard,
Well, right off the bat, you got Most Happy Fella.
Yeah.
Super Bowl.
Mm-hmm. Neverly Pride.
Yeah, wasn't a great sire though. Not like Super Bowl.
No, but as far as 3 Triple Crown winners and he owned parts of 2 of them.
Oh yeah. Oh God.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I mean, who can we name that was a trainer driver and part owner of 3 of them?
I've said this.
And owned parts of
and Stanley Dancer. What he did will never happen again. They say why? Because they don't do that now. They don't train and drive.
Yeah.
2 of them do.
That's it. Yeah.
2 of them, yeah, but that'll be no, absolutely. And that was the heyday of the industry.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Larry?
I drove against Stanley in a race at Goshen a number of years ago. I never met Stanley, but he was in the race. And Billy Houghton, who I knew not well, but I knew Billy. We used to talk a little bit.
Yeah.
And I think Johnny Chapman was in the race, and George Schulte was in the race. A lot of big guys were in the race. I was the low man on the totem pole, 2-year-olds, and I had a 2-year-old by it was a fast horse by Great Lowwater. You remember?
Oh God, yeah.
Yeah. So, and I had broken her from scratch and trained her, and I had a gate trained like hell. I mean, perfect. She went on the gate. She loved the gate. She'd like to suck the gate, I mean, so I had a gate trained, and I trained her at 2.9 at the farm on a real, dirt track bed. And I figured 2.9's going to win this race. So Stanley was in this race, but I never met Stanley. I wish I would have met him. I never met him. But when we went away from the gate, we got taken away so fast. The guy from Roosevelt was driving the gate. I forget his name, but he took me down the stretch so fast, going away. I never went a fast quarter like that. I mean, I must have been going a 16th of a mile. The fastest I've ever gone, and the filly, she was the fastest she's ever gone, and I got away like 10 lengths in front of the field, and in the middle of the turn, she nicked herself, and I felt she was getting rough, and I pulled her back, and she nicked herself, and she made a break. And I went to the outside, of course, and I got her back trotting, and I finished last, of course. There was only 6, 7 horses in the race. So after the race, well, this has got nothing to do with Stanley, but Stanley didn't say nothing to me. But Billy Howden knows to me, he goes, Trade, when you went away like that, he says, I thought it was all over. The race went 9-4. And
Wow.
anyway, well, that's my Goshen story.
Larry, can
Yeah.
we say goodnight or what?
Yeah, I trade. I just sent you the pictures on your phone.
Okay, good. Thank you, Larry.
All right.
Good night, everybody. Thanks,
Good night,
guys.
Good night.
for coming.
Donald, Greg, Freddie, Trey, thanks for coming on, and we'll talk soon.
Very good.
Thank you very much, Larry.
See you.
Good
Great
seeing
to be
you.
on the show. Y'all have a great evening.
And Greg and Freddie.
Good night.
Talk to you again. All right.
See you,
Be
man.
safe. All right. Bye.